can use words that's not applicable. What I would have done if I actually did that and I would have been put in a court case and people are attacking you, I was just like, wah, wah, wah. No, I would not. We were thrown into the deep end. And it wasn't easy because, I mean, you're tired. You live out of a suitcase. And for me, I mean, I had limited clothes.
But you didn't let that stop you.
I didn't, because
you shopped in America.
And it was a critical time in our life. And once again, people can look at us and think we have it all together and our life has been a golden platter. It's like, no, you don't know the sacrifices. You don't know the tears. And that woman was like, revelation. And that is the most beautiful thing of my job is those moments, oh, my word, I was wrong, and I admitted it in that call where I said...
But then the assumption was, I hate the transgender child, and by association, you do, and we're just anti-everything.
So I am, in my charismatic personality, sent voice notes, and I'm like, listen, but what I also saw, it was literally that shift in the new year. Like, God said 2024 was the year of war, and then and obviously over the December holiday after the article came out, there were students asking questions, and there were people saying, I want my money back, and they've claimed this and they've claimed this. But when the new year broke, we had
Aletté Winckler, welcome to the BoldCast. We are going to have an awesome conversation today about a few powerful, wonderful, potentially controversial things, and I'm excited to have you here. So let's start off by just discussing a bit of your background. What are you busy with at the moment? What's your main focus? You've had a few shifts in the last year, and tell us a little bit more about that, and then we'll also delve into all the businesses that you run.
Awesome. Hello, babe.
Hello,
it's going to be fun chatting to my babe in a professional way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for inviting me to be a guest. I'm excited about your podcast, and I want to say well done.
Thank you.
It's been something that's been on your heart for a while, and making it happen is awesome. I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. So, what do you want to know? Tell me.
We've coined a phrase with you because you had so many different passions, different businesses that you started, and so we call you a multi-passionate entrepreneur.
Yes.
You love to start new things.
Oh, yes.
And you've done a few businesses. You've had successes, you've had some failures, you've had some challenges. Please, let's start with the main one. Your heart for SA image and women, and let's talk a bit about that. Where did that passion come from? How did it start out that you do that?
Okay, I'm so glad you mentioned that I love to start new things because that is really who I am. I'm a starter. I love starting new things, and then I get over it, and then somebody else has to run with it. And where the failures has come in the past is where I trust people to run with it, and then balls are getting dropped. So it's good that we can speak about the good, the bad, and the ugly, because all of that is present here today. So I had a love for style and clothing since a little girl. I remember literally putting my Sunday outfits together, thinking on a Saturday, what is it that I'm going to wear from a young age? Because it was the one day that you can actually dress up and look like something.
Yeah.
But never in my life thought that it was going to be a career, that it is actually a possible career. So I loved it, even in university, even though, like with all my other student friends who didn't have money as a student, they asked me, just go shopping with us because somehow you make it work. Even if it's from the cheapest or the China store, doesn't matter, we'll make it work. So I thought it was my thing. It was a thing, or one of my things that I had. I studied journalism at the University of Joburg. It was still Rau those days. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, like most 18-year-olds, it's actually such a daunting age where people expect of you to just now you have to make this decision. Yeah. And I think we have to be very alert with our own children. Like we don't want to push them into doing something that they don't want to do, or they just don't know. But I knew.
Just backtrack on that. I mean, maybe that's something we can touch on quickly.
Yeah.
The expectation that there is on young people at the age of 18 to know exactly what they're going to do for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
You know, what did that pressure feel like for you personally? And how can a parent who has someone going to university maybe help manage that moment?
Yes. I think we come from a generation where the pressure was on. Because, of course, I mean, the stats prove that today the millennials and the Gen Zs, they go through 5, 6, 7. It feels like careers a year. They try out everything and they're like gooi in die bos en kyk wat stiek kind of vibes. But for us, it was a different story. So I definitely felt the pressure without my parents ever putting the pressure on me, never saying you have to choose something, you have to go study, you have to. That, praise the Lord, didn't happen for me. But I think inherently, because I was a performer and I wanted to impress my parents, I wanted to study, and luckily it was possible for me. And my dad was an academic, and I mean, it was just there, but I didn't know what. I thought it was going to be law because I spoke a lot. I was a public speaker and I did oration at school. And I thought it's going to be like LA Law. You know, remember Ali McBeal, LA Law? We thought that was... I
had exactly the same picture. Like, that's what it's going to be like. And what you don't realize is that South African law is nothing like American law, and television is nothing like real life.
Absolutely. And you think you're gonna rock up in your little beautiful suit. It was actually all about that, the style. Like, I'm going to look like this. And then, I mean... I can use words that's not applicable right now, but what I would have done if I actually did that and I would have been put in a court case and people are attacking you, I was just like, wah, wah, wah. No, I would not.
Let's talk about that. How are you with conflict handling, or how were you as a young, student with conflict handling?
Oh, my word. No, not good. Not good at all.
One of your favorite things in life.
Yeah. And it's weird because people don't expect that from me. They think I'm a fighter, and because I'm bold and I'm verbal. But I think growing up in a house where I didn't see conflict resolution happen well, just because my parents didn't give me a good example, and not because that was bad. It was in the sense like they would have a fight or a tiff or something, and then my mom would be silent and my dad would ignore it, and then one day they will appear out of the room and then they will be happy again. So I never had the vocabulary to resolve conflict. I just never saw it. And it didn't happen often. So it wasn't as if I grew up in a house where my parents fought often, and it was something that I saw. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the uncomfortability. If you have to tell people straight, like, this is not on, or this is, Anyway, so we're back.
Just on that note, I'm going to pick up on stuff that you mentioned, because I think there's a lesson in everything.
Yeah.
And, we're both very passionate about marriages and seeing marriages do well. And when we do our marriage seminar, we especially talk about communication, and we talk about, listen, you communicate from your place of baggage. You communicate from your place of how solid your identity is. But you also communicate from a place of what kind of home did you grow up in.
Absolutely.
And what was your example. So your example was, someone staying quiet and someone else not really communicating, and then kind of waiting it out. So how would you say, what was the fruit of that being your example? I know what the answer is, but I'd like to hear from you. What is the big thing that you were stuck with for a long time that you had to figure out for yourself?
I'm glad you're asking that question, because in marriage it's a whole different ball game. But even growing up, and I think I've revealed this to you before, because I had a revelation only like recently, so it's late in my life to have the revelation that even in previous relationships, just because I didn't want to have conflict or like make you feel uncomfortable because I don't want you to do this to me, I would allow things that was absolutely against what I believed in or what I felt comfortable with, just because I wanted to avoid that other uncomfortability of now having to say, no, don't do that, or I don't like that, or whatever the case may be.
So you'd rather take, subtle forms of abuse,
yes,
than facing the confrontation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that is, we're I feel like we're jumping around, but we're also not jumping around, because it's progressing in the right direction. But I think that is why my one business called Girls School is so so imperative that we teach girls from a young age that they are allowed to speak up, that they are allowed to say, this is not cool, and giving them that vocabulary that I, for example, didn't have.
I think that's the right word, is vocabulary. Like to learn, it's an ability, but it's also a vocabulary. The right words to say in the right way, because it's also not about fighting so much as it is to be able to articulate what is wrong with the situation to the person who's doing it. Because I think in loving relationships, most of the time when we're dealing with well-adjusted people, it's someone is not on purpose trying to upset their marriage partner or their friend. They might not even know. And that's so for most of the conflicts that probably went further than it needed to go, if a person was just able to go, when you say things like that or in that way, it really irks me. It upsets me because of this and this and this. And then that person would go, oh my word, I had no idea. I'm sorry. And then it's sorted out.
Yeah.
But for many of us, just that moment to actually bring it up, for you, that was always a big issue, right? How's it now?
I don't know. How is it, Heinz? You tell me how easily it is for me to say, yes, that is what you did. This is how you made me feel. It's
definitely a lot better. Yeah.
It's way more easier for me in marriage. Still difficult in work situation. I'm not also that typical boss where I'm like, this is what you do, this is how it is, this is a... So even if my employees make me feel uncomfortable, I always have to kind of find a way to communicate. I mean, we watched that show recently where there's the new chief in town, new chief in charge, and he's like, this is it. I'm like, sometimes I wish I could be like that. Just say, I'm laying down the rules and this is how it is. But it's
this is the law of the new sheriff in town. Yeah.
But this is also just not how I am. We can relate it back to being a people pleaser and wanting people to like you, and there's probably roots and wounds and stuff that plays a role. But I'm definitely a lot better in marriage, especially, and I think that is obviously my most important relationship on this earth. So it's for me, it's a safe place where I can say this, I don't like that, or you did this, or you said this, or this made me feel. Where, in the beginning of our marriage, it was just nothing.
It was hectic. Yeah, and just from my side, for the important thing if you are in a relationship like a marriage, and you find that your partner is in a space of not dealing well, then there's also a role for you. Like in my case, I didn't mind confrontation or conflict, and actually I liked it because I was good at articulating my problem, and I'm like, let's just sort it out and move on. That was my attitude. So now that clashes with your experience. So we always say that in my house, my parents, they fought like Italians and made up like French people. So I did see conflict resolution, maybe not always that healthy, but it was at least there. And I could see my parents would make up and hold hands and be lovey-dovey. But now in our marriage, we were confronted with these two different homes.
Yes.
And we had to find a way. And where you had to try and find your vocab and find a way to process it, I had to give you space. I had to have the patience, which is a loving thing to do, but a very hard thing to do, and to give you that space. And initially, you communicated with me through emails.
Yes. It was awesome to leave the house and be able to get to my own space at the office. Yeah. And then process.
Yes.
And then write down, and then I felt better, and then you were at least able to know what was on my heart.
Yeah, and you can say if this is true, but I think in most cases, I was able to say sorry because now I know what I did that hurt you, or I was able to maybe explain my side to you, and then you could go, oh, okay, I didn't know, so that's how you deal with that, which is important.
You've always been a very good sorry sayer, I must say.
A good sorry sayer.
Yes. Not a naysayer, a sorry sayer.
Let's talk about it. What was that one piece of advice we got from a pastor before we got married?
So unfortunately, genetically, because it's been proven genetically with our own children. I'm very competitive genetically. I'm just gonna blame it on my genes. So I like to win, like some of my children, especially number 1 and number 4 are with me. But don't throw number 2 and 3 away. They're just like they're right there. And then the advice that we got for our marriage before we got married is that the pastor and his wife said they had a competition to see who says sorry first, and then whoever said that first won. And I said, you can win it. You can just get it every time.
This competition you can take.
I'm not even involved. I'm not even playing. I'm just not even partaking. And I must say, from day one, you have been really good. You've been challenging me in almost 20 years. You've been challenging me to get better at saying I'm sorry.
Thank you. I mean, it's a daily thing, but as we've recently spoken at church, it's dying to self. That's really what love is. So,
Yeah.
but it's we all have different things that play a role in that. So, but all right,
We have to get back to university. Yes.
and getting into your line of
Yes.
work. Yes, let's get back to that.
So, yes, university, studied journalism. The reason I studied journalism is not even because I knew that I liked to write, although at school when you had to write an essay, I liked it. I liked it, but I mean, I wasn't exactly like the best in the class. You always had those A students who always, you know those people we don't like.
You weren't one of them?
Unfortunately, I was an A, not an A plus. I was
A
an
for Aletté.
Yes.
Yeah.
So never occurred to me that it will be something that I actually like. So I went to study journalism because I wanted to be a TV presenter, because I knew I liked a camera. We got a little video camera when I was 13 or 12 or something, and I would do some home videos and home recordings. And even when we went to travel, I would go to the waterfront in Cape Town. I grew up in Alberton and then Witbank. Yes, I did come from Witbank. And
The big W.
the big W. Now it's Winckler. From Witbank to Winckler. That's an upgrade, I think.
Come on.
And then I would literally stand with a brush at the V&A waterfront as a 16-year-old, and my sister would record me, and I would say, and here we are at the waterfront, and here we have the sea and the what, and the ocean, and I loved it. I loved it. So I thought, because of that, I will go into journalism, because there's obviously that element to it. I did realize once at university that I hated journalism in the sense of the research and the just the facts and you have to know this and this and have this in order. And I'm like, I just want fun. I just want to write like creatively, and that is what I realized at university. Sometimes we have to write an essay, and everybody else did these formal reporting, and I would write an essay with puns and play with words, and I would actually do really well, because it was the one that stood out because it was different from the others. And I thought, okay, actually I like writing. I didn't know I liked writing. And then after university, I had the opportunity. My dad actually, he bought me a flat close to the university. He said, I'm buying you the flat so it's on my name so that you can actually get a bond. But that's it. That's what I'm doing. You are paying for it. You're on your own. So I'm like, okay. I have to get a job. So
Here's responsibility. Enjoy.
Yeah, no. And I know it's like kicking you out of the nest. I'm the baby of the family, and everybody else was already on. So it was time.
It's actually such a great gift.
It is a great gift. Here's your flat. You pay for it. And my one fellow student said to me, she saw an ad in a magazine or a newspaper that this one company wanted graduates to come and work. It's a startup company. And I'm like, thank the Lord I've got a degree, because now we can actually apply. And I got the job, and then it was amazing. We started out with a small company, few people, one office, and today this company is just freaking big.
How long were you planning on staying when you started out there?
No, like 5 months, if ever.
How long did you end up there?
I'm going to tell you now, this was just my foot in the door just to get one salary. And get a salary. But what happened is that the company, we literally grew with the company, and suddenly the directors gave us incentives for doing things, and I was like, I get incentivized if I do something well. And with money, I'm like, yes. And all I could think of...
Do you like money?
I do like clothes.
Making money. And
I like making money. And I was just like, I can buy this clothes, I can buy this clothes. It wasn't about the flat. It was just like, I can wear this and I can wear that. And anyway, so as we got incentivized more and my paycheck grew and grew, I just got stuck in more. So eventually, 7 years later, I
7. Wow.
I realized this is probably not what I was born for.
Okay.
I really wanted to do something significant. And although I know I had an impact at the company, and I know I dressed very well every day and inspired others. It was always the topic of conversation. What is she going to wear today kind of vibe.
So you had a look of the day even before look of the day was a thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I enjoyed that. I think that was my daily reward, was because I mean the job wasn't necessarily creative or challenging in itself, but the creativity was somewhere else, was getting dressed every day. Anyway, so in that time I met you. We can elaborate about that later, maybe, I don't know. And then we got married, and then not even a year into our marriage, we had the opportunity to go and travel the world almost with your musical, which was awesome. It was an incredible opportunity. And the company didn't want to lose me, and I also didn't want to necessarily lose the company because that's security.
Good to have an option.
Absolutely, and you get used to that security and that 25th of the month when you get your salary, and I mean it's all. Oh,
I never knew what that was like.
Because you have not, since we now have a church, in your life ever had a salary, which is quite daunting.
I have no idea what it felt like until recently.
Yeah. And it's still daunting. But anyway, so I went with you. It was amazing. We did 32 states, 33 states.
Yeah, we traveled through 34 states, showed in 32. Plus Canada, plus Japan, 210 shows in 9 months.
That was hectic.
Yeah, and we traveled so much.
We did. And it was amazing. I mean, looking back, if we think about what we've experienced, it was really an incredible blessing in our lives. We got to experience what people experienced in COVID for the first time, because we were in each other's faces only in the first year of our marriage. All the time. When people get married, I mean, they perhaps go on honeymoon and then get back, and then you go on with your life and you go on with life and you see each other tonight. We were like traveling, we were tired, we had to get up early, we had to carry our bags, we had to be on time.
Deal with a lot of stuff.
And we were the only married couple.
The only Afrikaans couple.
The only foreign couple.
And one of few Christians.
Yes.
Which was very interesting.
On a tour bus daily, I mean, it was an experience.
There were a couple of atheists that enjoyed joking with us and mocking us and making life very hard for us. It was an interesting time.
It was an interesting time.
What would you, I mean, there's something we used to say to people when we got back about, we had 9 months on the road as a just married couple. And we said something about that time. Can you remember what it is?
No, but 9 months sounds like a pregnancy. We could have had a baby. I don't know.
No, we used to say that we feel like we experienced what most couples only experienced in 3 to 5 years.
Absolutely. We were thrown into the deep end, and it wasn't easy because I mean, you're tired. You live out of a suitcase, and for me, I mean, I had limited clothes.
But you didn't let that stop you.
I didn't because
you shopped in America.
And then
what did we end up getting in New York, Aletté, for all your clothes?
A storage room. Yeah. In Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, New York.
Oh my word.
Yes.
I'm having traumatic flashbacks.
But what is so cool is now we watch.
Oh my goodness.
Now we watch what New York, CSI New York, and then it's like, it's in Flatbush Avenue. You're like, we had a storage unit.
We know that.
I know exactly how it looks. So yes, it was irresponsible. I know, looking back.
But
we learned.
it was part of the adventure as well.
It was.
And we were like, we'll just ship this back to South Africa. And we didn't think of customs.
My gosh.
Oh.
It was hectic.
Oh.
Babe, I'm sorry, babe. You have to forgive me.
I have. But it was also around the 2008 recession.
Yes.
So we tried to get back to South Africa. All of our savings, all of the dollars we made that side just disappeared.
It did.
We started over again, and we thought we were going to actually start from a really great place.
Yes.
But you go away for 9 months. The country goes on. The entertainment business goes on.
You're out of sight, and
we had to get back and try to get back up on our feet. And I'm pretty sure everyone looks at you and goes, "Ach, shame, poor poor celebrity couple.
Yeah.
But it was a really tough time and a really uncertain time.
And also, when we got back on my advice, we did a European tour. I was like, while we are traveling, let's just go via.
Lord Jesus, help us.
Go back via. And I think that is a podcast on its own. It's just our travel woes.
We can actually, we should tell that story.
No, but we have so many though.
Yeah, but that was epic. We did so many stupid, irresponsible things in one trip.
It's crazy. I still get heart palpitations, I think, if I think about it. It was...
just to give you guys an idea, there was a moment when my wife was in a bath in Paris crying. And I'm like, you're in a bath in Paris. Why are you crying? But it was that bad.
It was that bad. It was like, what are we doing? What are we thinking? What? Wasted so much money.
But it shows you sometimes an idea sounds good in your head. It even looks good on paper. But then because you don't have the experience / knowledge of a specific thing, you will make mistakes.
Yeah.
But what I do take away from that experience is that we made it together.
Yes.
We pushed through. I was angry because, and I did have a I told you so moment. Because I remember we walked into Charlottesville to book a trip to go instead of
Charlottesville, Charlotte, North Carolina.
And we walked into a travel agency, and you're just like, let's just book this trip.
Yeah.
On the way, instead of flying back to South Africa, let's fly via Europe. And then I'm like, I think we need visas, and we need to go to a consulate for that. And you're like, nah, man, we'll sort that out.
Oh my word. That
was like
hectic.
What even? It was insane. And then that whole thing was such a crazy. So let's get into it for a moment.
Okay.
Because we haven't really told the story. And
it's a fun story.
It's
a hectic story.
It is a hectic story. So we decide that we're going to fly back to South Africa from America via Europe. We don't have visas because this wasn't part of the plan.
And South Africans don't have visas, just in general, for those of you who don't know.
Most countries don't want us.
Yeah. I don't know why. We're so nice and kind.
Yeah, I mean, our home affairs make it so easy for people to come here.
Yeah.
Not. Anyway, so we decided to do that. So we bought tickets. We spent money.
Yes, already.
On flights.
Because that is what I do.
Yes.
Let me just interrupt you right there. My one employee comes to my office the other day, and she says, I spoke to my mom. And I said to her, so we're doing these radical camps. We'll probably speak about that later. And she says, I haven't done this before. But she says, Mom, this is Aletté Winckler. She goes from the top down. Mm. She sells something and then she creates it. That's what I do. So I book the ticket for the flight.
And then we sort out the rest.
Yeah. I've got faith like that.
I've also never done that. And you kept telling me this was her line. Ek het vrede. I have peace. I have peace. I'm like, I don't have peace. And just this is something for married couples. If not both have peace together, don't do it. This is God telling you to not do something.
Amen.
But anyway, we learned the hard way. We were still young married. Jong getrouwd. We were in
our early days.
Young married couple.
Very much in love.
Yes.
Looking past these flaws and issues and so. Okay.
And let's be honest, there's also a part of both of us that we think we are right.
Yes.
Pretty much all the time.
Yes.
And
a big part of
we had to learn sometimes Aletté is not right and sometimes Heinz is not right. And that's okay. That's part of growing. But this was just such a epically hectic thing where so now we have the tickets.
Yes.
Now we have to do all the steps that you normally do before you get tickets.
Oh my word.
And that's like getting... So now we're also in a tour. We are traveling and we found out if we want to go into Europe through Italy, we need to find visas for Italy. And we found the only consulate near us was in Philadelphia.
Yes.
So we had to, and then we found out what we need to get it, and it's all these letters and documents and stuff we didn't have.
No.
And I was running around in town trying to get all these documents and make it work.
Okay, but we literally had like 2 weeks. We did this in a
Yes.
very short period of
Yeah.
time. We had 2 weeks before we had to leave the country and the tour was ending. And we went from Charlotte to New York, if I'm not mistaken. And then your last show was going to be in Washington.
It was
Virginia.
Wolf Trap
Yeah.
in Virginia.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we bought the tickets in Charlotte, and then we went to New York to sort out visas. But what did we do with our passports? Did we send it from Charlotte?
Listen, this was the worst part. This was our biggest mistake. I can't remember the chronological steps of everything, but there was a moment where we thought the only way that we are going to be able to pull this off
Yes.
is if we physically send our passports to South Africa so that a friend can take it to the Italian consulate to apply for visas on our behalf.
Oh, my word.
Which was insane because we're in another country. But we did it.
The reason why is, and nobody could help us because nobody has ever had this situation where
Yeah.
people are in your country, they're from a foreign country and they need a visa for another country, but you can't get it in that country.
I'm sure that has happened, but then they probably have a expensive lawyer that can help them,
Yeah,
an
probably.
immigration lawyer, but we didn't have that and we had no knowledge. And like it is with any bureaucracy, the people working there don't really care. They don't want to help you. Even if they knew how to help us, they would just tell you
Yeah.
a form or a
Yeah.
code or something. You're like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yes.
And it was just such a mess.
It
And we
was.
tried many different ways, and we felt this is the last thing. So sending very important documents from America to South Africa was easy, which is, I guess, obvious. But then our friend went.
Easy but irresponsible. 'Cause
Yes.
We are traveling in a country and we don't have passports because we're sending our passports back to our
No,
home
we've
country.
established that. We're not going to go deeper into that. So it was a dumb idea. Anyway,
I remember the call from your friend. Buddy, I'm at the consulate. They're like, "You are crazy."
They laughed at him.
It's not going to happen. You can't. I can
yeah,
literally.
you
do nothing
cannot
for you.
apply for
Yeah.
someone else. You have
Yeah.
to physically stand there.
Yeah.
And we didn't. We kind of hoped this will work out. This is the
Aletté.
thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, just
go.
do it. Yeah.
Just rock up and just
No, it's
smile.
crazy. So we had to get the passports back
Yes.
from our friend in South Africa, and
Yes.
this is where things got
Oh, my.
next level crazy. Because now we found out that sending documents like that to America is not easy.
No.
You need to send it to a traveling agent or travel agent
Yeah.
or a hotel or something.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get it sent to the hotel we were. Also, it was being sent, and we were traveling almost every day.
Yeah, we didn't know where we're
And
going
we
to be.
didn't know we were going to be when it arrives.
Yes.
And we had to give them an address.
Yes.
So we booked it through FedEx, right? And we booked it, and then I phoned a bunch of travel agencies to say, can they just be our proxy?
Yes.
Will they receive this on our behalf?
Yes.
And to them it sounds dodgy.
Very dodgy.
And you can understand this.
Yes.
This guy with a South African accent
Yes.
trying to convince you to take a package on his behalf. Obviously it sounds very weird, but we're like, we're nice people. What's the
Yes.
problem?
We're Christians and everything.
just receive my freaking passports. And so I did something really wrong because we had another plan.
We did. And of course,
We were staying in a motel or a hotel, like a very dodgy, not a great hotel, across from the FedEx depot.
no, listen. No, we only
Yes.
noticed that when we walked back from the travel agent. We knew, okay, this is probably the hotel that we're going to be at.
Okay, so first step was we just decided I'm just going to send it to this travel agent and
Yes.
hope for the best and sort of intercept it
Yes.
at the travel agency.
Yes. We're going to be there when they deliver and say, that's my parcel, thank you very much, and then go without the travel agent even knowing.
This is how we were thinking. This is nuts. This was completely crazy.
This
And
is my stress
oh, my
release
word.
laugh.
Yeah. So we walked back to where we were staying, and we were like, oh, the FedEx depot is right across from the hotel.
We're like, this is a sign.
Yeah. The Lord is helping us.
Yes. So we knew the parcel was firstly going to go to the FedEx depot, and then it's going to go to the travel agent. So if we can intercept it there, it's going to be way better.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
If you don't know how international law and all kinds of other stuff work. So I decide I'm going to go to the FedEx depot.
Now we went, both of us went.
Oh, yeah.
And we asked them.
Oh, yes. And there was a very friendly
African lady.
Yes.
Well, African American.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know South Africa, and we talked about Amarula, and we're like, yes, she's got our back, man.
She had Amarula on a South African flight. Yeah. So we thought, cool, she's going to help us. It's going to be easy.
Yes.
So we just had to go back the next morning. So the next morning I went there, and there was another lady working, and she looked at me a little funny, and she said, come back in an hour. So I went back. I laid down and slept a bit more, and then I came back, and then she said, can you please, or she called her boss, and then her boss came forward and he said, can you please join me in the back office? And I'm like, what is happening? So I went with them into this little office, and the next moment this guy walks in, and he says, I'm agent...
No, you must do it with Alex. It was Alex.
Yeah.
Please do it in the accent. It was so good.
Yeah, hello, my name is Alex. I'm an agent with the... something agency, Homeland.
Yeah, Homeland Security.
Homeland Security. And I'm like, what is going on? And so this guy sits down and he looks at me, and I can see this is super serious. And he's got the package with our passports. And on the inside, I'm like, yay, our passports are here. But I'm like, this is not good. So he puts it down. He says to me, explain to me what's the contents of this package. And I'm like, it's my wife and my passport. We are trying to get Schengen visas for Europe. And, we did something very stupid.
Yes.
We realize that now. And he looks at me and goes, when you do what you've done, rocking up at a depot, claiming a package, it puts up red flags on our system all over. He came in there with a car with flashing lights, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And he got there, and they were like expecting this international freaking spy doing something nuts, and it's just little old me singing I'm just singing in a musical. It was nuts.
Oh my word.
And then so he started. I could see that he started believing my story. He could see this is real.
Yeah.
Because I could explain exactly the contents of the package, and he opened it up, and he could see that's what it was. And then he got on the phone, and then he came back, and then he was on the phone with the SA consulate in New York.
Oh my word.
Oh my word. And then he said, someone wants to speak to you. So this guy goes, it was like a quasi SA American accent. He said to me, is this Heinz Winckler? And I said, yes. And then he went, what the beep are you doing? And he just...
In Afrikaans.
In Afrikaans, yeah. And he was upset and angry and and then I explained to him the whole situation, and he's like, okay, I can hear, but you've gone about it all wrong. Yes. And I'm like, I know.
Yes.
So
we're so sorry.
And then we finally were able to apply in the right way.
Yes.
But then...
Oh, Lord. But wait, there's more.
There's less. Then we were waiting to get our passports back with the visas in them.
Yes, from Philadelphia.
But it had to come on time for us to fly.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Oh, our flight was out, I think, on the 5th of July. So we were bargaining. We were literally counting the days. It takes so much time. So it's going to get to us by the 4th of July. And I don't know if you know that the 4th of July is kind of a big day in the USA.
Massive.
Everything is closed. It's a public holiday.
We did not account for that.
So we are in Brooklyn in our friend's flat. And the whole day, we're like, when the bell rings, buzzes, we're waiting for this delivery because we paid for a flight that's out on the 5th.
Yes.
And we have no passports and no visas. And the day went by. Late the afternoon, we're like, we are freaking out. And we're phoning FedExes, and we just get voice messages. And
And we don't understand why.
We press one. And eventually we got to the point where somebody says, we can see your parcel is in Brooklyn at the FedEx, but it's a public holiday.
It's at the depot.
It's there. But you can't get it because it's a holiday. I'm like...
So we had to?
We had to move our flights and pay again like $1,000 or something crazy.
It was $300 a gooi. Yeah, every time. Because it happened more than once.
It did happen more than once.
Yes. We had to move our flight
again.
2 times?
On that same...
I think we changed our flight twice.
Oh, my word.
So it was about $600-700 extra.
Yes, it was crazy. And then we can literally, like I said, this is a whole podcast in its own. We finally get our flight out and we're like, thank you. We went to London first. We actually visited friends. And then we took a train from London to Paris, which we were on with Mr. Bean, which was quite awesome.
Yes, Rowan Atkinson was there.
Right across from us. And then we thought we're going to travel in Europe with the Eurail. And we thought how the Eurail works is you just rock up and say, I want to go to wherever.
Yeah. And why did we think this? Because the travel agent in Charlotte told us you need these passes. And we're like, cool.
If we have the passes, we can just rock up.
Yeah. But it was what season in Europe?
Summer holiday, because it's July, guys. It's summer holiday. Everything is fully booked. Every hotel is fully booked. We just did not know.
And the trains are fully booked.
The trains are fully booked. So we think on this day we're going from this place to this place. Yeah. And they're like, not going to happen.
So if we were able to start a travel blog, it would be about how not to do things.
And I remember I have shopped my butt off. So we are traveling with 2 large suitcases each. And
so that's
guitar,
4 large suitcases.
A guitar. 2 travel
small hand luggage.
Backpacks with computer laptops and stuff.
Because we were in the States for 9 months.
Yeah, we're traveling with a lot of things. And we were like in the lift the other day. Was it at the airport? Where were we? We were like, remember where if we did catch a train, we would be at 2 separate entrances to the train because both of us will not make it in time to load our suitcases onto the train. So
I'm getting nervous all over again.
It will stop. We'll see where the entrance is, and we will like. You have to yell to say if you've got space, and I have to yell to say if I've got space, because it was like, yes, go now, load. Okay, and then we're in the train, like, okay, we made it, we're here. And I remember recently you said, imagine doing that with 4 kids.
Oh my word! And all that bags, and how would you ever?
No.
And keep them safe.
I don't know how we did it, Lord. The Lord has protected us. I think He sat there looking at us, and it's just like. Like with the Israelites, just what are you doing? What? Oh my word! But we got through it, and that's hence the fact that we were in Paris and we were supposed to go to Venice, and we couldn't because we missed our. And then if you miss the train, you miss your accommodation in the next one. Everything is like dominoes.
Knock on.
Hence the fact that I cried in the bath.
Yes, so
you're in the city of love. It's Paris in French.
And
France.
we actually had to spend a day in Nice. Because of we had to wait for another train. And that was nice in Nice, but it wasn't part of the plan. And then we ended up in Paris 2 days late. But we also had to stay a day extra.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I think
but
I
it was
blocked it. It was trauma. It was really traumatic. It was wonderful, and it was ugly all at the same time. And yes, third world problem. Our first world problem.
Yeah.
It's like...
But it has a lot to do with assumption. You know, we made so many assumptions about what travel will be like.
Yeah.
Not taking or thinking even of asking for advice.
Yeah.
But we learned.
We did.
So much.
Yes.
And
But we are those people. We are those people. Sometimes still, because 2 years or 3 years later, when we had 2.5 children, because one was literally brooding in me, we went back to New York because we were going to get our green cards.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
And we obviously also didn't do our homework well because we got to New York, and for this green card to be activated, I needed x-rays, and no medical person in that country wanted to touch me because I was pregnant and they couldn't take x-rays. They had to see if I had TB or not. And the last day, we finally got somebody who's like, okay, I'll do it. If it's on your own risk, this is your own, sign the documents. I'm like, just freaking do it. And we went, our flight was out of JFK on the certain day
Yeah.
back to South Africa, we had a 3-year-old and 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. We had to travel. I don't know how we
And
did
a
that.
baby in your belly.
And a baby. So I'm heavily pregnant. I'm giving birth in like 2.5 months. 2 little ones. Oh, and to top it off, we borrowed a double, like a twin pram. Remember that?
Oh my goodness,
We
yeah.
borrowed that from friends so that we can easily travel with these 2 little ones. You do the suitcases, I'll do the prams. We land in Washington. We have a connector flight. We missed that flight because the pram, that was because
No,
of
we
that.
stopped in Dakar, and they said they wanted to take the stroller, and we said, is this going to go through to Washington? And they said, yes, sure. And then it never arrived. And we couldn't put our children in the pram.
So I had to we had carry and luggage and children, and it was hectic. And we missed our flight from Washington to New York for some reason. I don't know what happened there, but we missed it, and we had to get another flight. They held us back. They were like, why are you here? Remember that whole story?
Oh, my word.
And we didn't have a plan. The last day of our trip, the pram arrived. I'm like, thanks. Thanks for nothing. Rarig. But anyway, so we are in New York City with these 2 little children. It's the biggest snowstorm in the history of time. We are
It's so
all
cold.
jet lagged.
Yeah.
We have like one bed. What is that? Couches, the sleeper couches. I'm exhausted. We are so jet lagged. The children wake up at 1 a.m. They were like, watch TV shows. Oh my word, we were out of our minds.
It was hectic.
It was hectic. And then, but the last day on the airport, you have to go to this little room,
Yeah.
and then we had to catch a flight. We were running with luggage, 2 babies, heavily pregnant, and we literally came through that airplane door like this. Like, how did that just happen? Just what happened?
It was hectic. And this trip was my fault. The first one was yours, kind of, and this one was mine, because I had this dream. I had a dream.
La, 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 la,
I had a dream of getting green cards, going to America,
Yes.
taking part in The Voice,
Yes.
winning The Voice, and then having an American career.
Yeah.
And then that came crashing down,
Yes.
which was hectic. But even in that, God came and He showed us such beautiful things. But I mean, all these things.
Also expectations, eh? You
Yeah, of
have an
course.
expectation. And sometimes you get a word from God because that's what you believed you had.
Yeah.
And you think we want to interpret the word.
Yeah.
This is what it means. The Lord literally told you, you're going to be a voice in the wilderness. And it's the voice.
Yeah.
It's got to be the voice.
Yeah, and it was based on scripture that I got years ago, before that even. And this is when you try to Ishmael your prophecy. You know, God gives a promise. You're like, I'm going to do this in my own strength. And that
Yeah.
was that. And the fruit of that's never good.
Yes.
And I learned that the hard way.
Yes.
Once again.
Yes. Lots of money.
Oh my goodness,
I
lots
think
of money.
If we have to get to heaven and God has to say, do you want to know the sum? The lump sum of money that you've just like. I would say no, I don't want to know.
But luckily God forgives, because
Yes.
we could have been better stewards
Yes.
of many things in seasons.
Yes.
But once again, we did it together.
We have a podcast now
and
to
we
tell.
go through it.
We've got a story to
and
tell.
now we can share it on this podcast. Yeah. Amazing.
my goodness.
All right, so
Okay.
we're actually telling your story, but
Yes.
then taking pit stops and
Yes.
telling other stories as well.
Yes.
So we went to the States, we got back, and then
Yes.
it's like, what's Aletté going to do for a living?
And I could have gone back to my company because they are amazing people, and I love the people. I just didn't love the job necessarily. But I knew this was God's way of releasing me and getting me out of that rat race and the money and the traffic. And I mean, I haven't done traffic in a year then. It wasn't for me. And I was just like, okay, Lord, I want to do something that I'm really passionate about. So first of all, I thought I was going to go into TV work because I thought that was it. And we were speaking to friends of ours who were in Seven de Laan and trying to connect with people, but I didn't have 100% peace, and I knew it wasn't exactly necessarily that. So we moved into my first flat. We literally started from scratch.
Yeah.
And you had a role in Binnenlanders, and I also traveled with you, and I played some keys for you and did your bookings. And I mean, we thought if I can manage you, we don't have to give away a certain percentage to an agent, so I can be your agent, and we can take all the money home. So, I mean, we were doing this and that.
It was a nice season for that.
Nice
I mean, we
season.
traveled together, did shows together. Yeah.
Yes, we didn't have kids at that stage, so it was easier. And then I remember you were Dr. Andreas Geldenhuis.
Andreas Geldenhuis.
Andreas, it sounds very Spanish right now. Andreas Geldenhuis, the gynecologist in Binnenlanders. And then one day you got home from studio and you said, I got your job. I'm like...
I remember.
Yeah. I was thinking, what? If your husband comes home and he says, I found your ideal job, what is it going to be? What? I can mention a few that I thought was going to come up, but I won't do that on this podcast. So you said image consulting, and the moment you said image consulting, I saw this picture of older women who were in the back of magazines advertising their services as image consultants, and they had a certain look and a certain feel about them. And I was like, eesh, it's very tiny.
I don't know if that's me.
It's not me. I can't see myself doing that.
Yeah.
And he said, no, listen, honey, Linda, later, listen. You have to hear this out. And what happened was, you went into studio, and the girl who was on wardrobe, she came floating into the studio that day, and you're like, why are you so happy? What's happening here? And she said, no, she just did this course, and it was incredible. And she told him all about the course, and then you said, oh my word, this is my wife. You have to speak to my wife.
I just immediately knew, whoa, this is exactly, because one of the things that happened in the States that was interesting is that
yes.
I would do shows every night and work and do rehearsals and whatever, and you had a lot of free time, so you would watch a lot of programs.
I was in hotels, yeah.
So you would watch these makeover shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always ended up on the Style Network. Watched every makeover show. How to look good naked. How to look 10 years younger. What not to wear. Trini and Susanna.
And that had an impact, but I could also see you're interested in this. And so when this woman was talking about this course, I thought, oh my word, you should at least check it out. Yeah.
And then we had a meeting. I think we had a breakfast. She brought her manuals. She showed me what they learned, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is this even a thing?
Yeah.
And literally, I think that evening...
Could this be a job? Something I love to do?
Literally make money. But I must say, before that, we actually went to a prophetic evening one evening. Remember that?
Yes.
We went to a prophetic, like just a little ministry meeting at somebody's house, and people were praying over us. And then the one woman said to me, and it's ironic because her daughter has since done my course, and it's like almost full circle. But she said to me, I can see you working with women and with clothing, and you are so happy doing it. You're loving it. And I was crying because I was so desperate for a word from God to just tell me, where am I going with my life? I'm 28 years old, 29 years old actually. I need to get direction, purpose, and step into my calling. And when she said it, I just smiled because I'm like, God knows the desires of my heart. He knows what I'm passionate about, and to confirm that is something I'm going to do was quite cool. And then you came, and it was like, okay, this is confirmation. So that evening after I met the woman, I went onto the website, I enrolled into the course. I didn't even inquire from Manette, who was the owner at that stage. I didn't even ask for any information. I just enrolled and paid. She just woke up and there's a payment and somebody's in her course. I'm like, that's nogals lekker. And then 2 weeks later did the course. That was in 2009. And now it is 16 years later.
Wow.
So immediately did my image consulting assignments, got qualified, started doing it, started making money, started being an entrepreneur because there's no salary now. Now I'm working for myself.
Sure. What was that like for you, that moment? It
was daunting, and yet I always teach my students that being an entrepreneur is, I mean, there are so many pros and cons. The pros is the freedom that you can go on holiday when you want to go and you don't have to report to anybody. It's like it's your, but it's the risk. All the risk is yours. All the risk is yours. And there's, like you said, not a 25th of the month. So then we were both in the boat of not a 25th.
Yes.
In the month. And that has since been, I mean, that was the majority of our marriage. Is like no fixed salary. We live by faith. We do with what God provides.
The only fixed 25th in our lives is our wedding day, 25th of September.
That is true. Normally I joked and said that the 25th we have to start praying because we still need a lot to come in before the debit orders go off. But anyway, so I started doing one-on-ones, elaborated from doing that into makeovers, but immediately was invited to be a speaker at women's events, because obviously it helped that you were famous and now people knew that I was doing it, so it gave me a little bit of a platform. But I soon realized that I still had to build my own little road here. I have to walk this road. Especially, I teach my students, when I opened I thought, let's start a Facebook page. And I was like, people are going to like it just because it's me. Yeah. I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to have it there. My name, it's going to be an empty page. And nobody liked it. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? And then the moment I started giving and give advice and tips, it just started growing and growing and growing and growing.
And social media was actually still quite new.
Very.
Back then.
Very, very
It only
new.
started really taking up when we went overseas, 07, 08.
Yes.
And then by the time you started, 08, 09, that's when it really got traction. And what is social media, I mean, initially, what did it mean to you starting a new business?
Well, I didn't know a lot about it. Like I said, I thought I would start a page and then people would follow it and like it.
But then you figured out something that many people
Yes.
after that figured out. Like, I actually have to give something.
Yes. And the moment I started doing it, it started growing and growing. And the moment I started the look of the day in 2013, which was the first in South Africa, nobody has ever done it.
Just say that again.
The look of the day that everybody's doing every single day right now has never happened. I was literally the first. A week later, a bunch of other people jumped on the bandwagon, and now it's like I'm
It's a
actually
thing.
not even doing it anymore because I'm like over it. But yes, I think it is something cool to claim.
Why do you think, I mean, most women who do follow those kinds of things, why do you think they like a look of the day post by someone like yourself?
And I'm going to tell you the answer right now. I remember saying to you for a while, even before I actually did it, I said to you, I think I have to take a photo of my look. Not at all. My heart is never to make somebody else feel less than and I can't look like that. It's like, oh, I have a similar top and I've got similar skirt. I never thought about putting that together. Maybe I should try that. So to inspire people to use what they have. I actually don't even want to say where I got it from, because then everybody's like, I want to get exactly that and that. No, it's just an idea. I will tell you where I got it from, but it's just an idea. It's not necessarily also going to work for you. But to be inspired to put, and that is what happened. The moment I started doing it, my page started growing. Whenever I was pregnant or breastfeeding and not doing it, you would see it just
a dip
or stand still. And then people will start asking, okay. And then the moment I do it again, it goes. And that just skyrocketed my page and my following, which was quite significant. And then in 2016, the first time I mean, we have since had 3 boys. We moved to Somerset West. You left your label. We went through a lot. Also,
a lot of sacrifice.
A lot of sacrifices by faith, believing if we are obedient and if we follow the word of God and if we do what He says, which we really believed because we got confirmation. Like moving. We got confirmation that we had to move. You had confirmation that you had to leave your label. And then we built a house. We built our house.
That we couldn't afford on paper.
Yes, we couldn't afford it.
And what was the fourth thing? Do you remember?
You went from Afrikaans music to Christian music. Is it that? Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of faith steps that we took. And it was a critical time in our life. And once again, people can look at us and think we have it all together and our life has been a golden platter. It's like, no, you don't know the sacrifices. You don't know the tears, the evenings where we had to see which debit order is going to win. Like, sorry, Discovery, you were too late.
Yeah.
You didn't make the cut this month. And
we can laugh about it now, but it was
hectic. With 3 small boys. You have to make ends meet. You have to build a company. I have to build up a client base in Somerset West. I had lots of clients in Joburg, but it's a whole different ballgame. I think I've literally blocked a lot of those days, those years, just because it was really traumatic. It was for us. It was traumatic.
Let's just go back for a second to making those big life-altering decisions.
Yes.
Once again, in a more serious sense.
Yes.
I think the big thing we can be grateful for
Yes.
is that we were able to be on the same page
Yes.
through that whole thing. Because I think similar things that happen is the kind of stuff that can
Absolutely.
cause couples to break up or at least go through a very, very difficult time. But by God's grace, I mean, let me ask you the question. What do you think was the main thing that was in place, even though many other things felt like it was falling apart? What was the main thing that was in place for us to get through that season?
First of all, our relationship with God. We were really dependent on Him, like never before, as a couple. And then our marriage was in place. Our marriage was, we were like, you're my go-to guy, I'm your go-to girl. We're going to do this together. We're in this together. I never felt abandoned in that time, and I believe you didn't either, because we were, and it was amazing. I think what came through during that season was we would never be weak together. The moment
at the same time.
Yes. The moment you see the
it
other
was
one,
dovetailing.
it's like, I'm gonna stand up today, and I'm gonna carry you today, and then vice versa. We were like,
And it was by going, you can do this, it'll be okay. Because I definitely had low days. You
Me
definitely
too,
had low
yeah.
days. And it was that encouraging thing that needed to happen.
Yeah. So, so we made it through somehow. But I remember once, because we had, once again, this is me. It comes down to me seeing the picture, buying the house, and then making it happen, making ends meet, making it whatever. So we bought the house. It was an old dilapidated place. It was. I literally remember, because when we realized we want to move to Somerset West, we had to find a house. It was very quick. We literally had a month. So you would come down for shows, and you would go and view a bunch of houses and show me pictures and videos, and I'm like, not gonna happen. I flew down once or twice, and I went to see this house, and I remember stopping in front of I'm like, I don't even know why we're doing this. We can.
This is a waste of time.
It's not gonna happen. And then one day my mom said to me, she actually had a conversation with her dentist, which is now a mom that goes to school with us, with our kids go together. And she said we should not look for a house that is
the way we want it to be. Yeah.
Because we had 3 kids and we wanted a spare room. So that in itself gives us 5 bedrooms that we need. We both work from home, which is 2 extra spaces. So it was just a lot. It was a big ask.
Yeah, I mean, I believe we had a word from the Lord that we will get a house that's a safe haven for our family and a base of operations for our callings.
Yes.
And for me, that was a word that we could stand on.
Yes.
And that's why I really believed we will get that space.
Yes.
But once again, you know, we maybe initially tried to force something, and then God gave us a better strategy through your mom.
But even before that, I remember that we actually put in an offer for another house. Which
we tried to buy the house that looked like the right thing.
Got all the extra flat and all the space, and they actually accepted our offer. And then one day
we tried to get sorry.
Well, even in the we got the bond approval for a certain amount, like 90%.
85.
Okay. And then I did the math and I realized if we only get 85, we still have to put down a deposit. We have to move all our things. Moving from Joburg to Cape Town, I don't even want to know what it is today, but it was like 50, 60, 70,000 rand.
It was insane.
Crazy. Because we also have a lot of furniture. And I did the math and I was like, babe, if we go ahead with a sale, we have to have 500,000 rand cash. Like in the next 2 weeks. Yeah,
I mean, the reality was that the Credit Act changed around that time, and it became a lot harder for people to get 100% loans,
people.
Especially self-employed people, which we were.
Yeah.
So that was all part of that whole thing. But then we decided not to go that route.
Yes. We literally pulled out, which was very disappointing for everybody.
Yeah, because the house was close to the school. It seemed to be everything we needed.
Yes.
But God had different plans.
Yes. And I'm looking back, it's like, oh my word. And then we got to this house and we put in an offer. Eventually realized, okay, we're gonna get a bond for a little bit more than the house is worth, so that we can do some renovations to the house.
Build, yeah.
And we had, because we knew that we wanted to go up, because there wasn't a lot of space to go out necessarily, but we could go up. We got an engineer involved to see if the foundation of the house is strong enough so that we can actually build. And he said the foundation is amazing. It's rock solid. It's literally built on the rock. And we decided, okay. So we got the architect and we're like, say, for example, this is just hypothetically, say, for example, the house was 1.5 million. We said, okay, if we can get a bond for 2.2, we've got 700,000 extra. So we want to do this build up, go there, build there. And they just like...
No. They said, okay, we can do that. How much money do you have extra? And then we said, we have this much. And they went,
Yes, yeah.
That's never going to be enough. And we're like,
Yeah.
okay, what are we supposed to do?
What are we supposed to do? And then, I mean, you can explain what your brainwave was and what we ended up doing.
Yeah, I remember being quite down and, you know, like, I mean, the whole experience of moving from Joburg to the Cape, going through everything we went, I had the assumption, and I think maybe you as well, that if you do what God says, things will go smoothly.
Expectations, once again.
Exactly. And what we realized is that, you know, sometimes when you are obedient, it's actually very tough. Sometimes difficult circumstances can be a sign that you're barking up the wrong tree, yes. But many times God is actually taking you through something so that you can be formed, that your character can be shaped, that you can become the man, the woman that God wants you to be. And I think that for me was the hard lesson. And if you asked me before that 4 years, do you love God? Do you trust God? Do you fear God? I would say, yeah, of course. But then all of those things were tested in that time. And it was beyond hectic. I mean, we both came to the end of ourselves. And that's actually exactly where God wanted us to be.
Absolutely. Because we were literally dependent on Him for our
every day, all day.
Breath.
Yeah. And we weren't 100% before that. We weren't.
No.
We would say we were.
Yeah, but if you've got backup and backup of backup, it's like, I love God.
Yeah.
But I'm okay.
Yeah. I've got a savings account.
Yes.
I've got a credit card. I've got, you know, and you
If
actually...
something should happen, I would make it.
Yeah, and you don't realize it, but you're actually relying on those things. So, yeah, so what was your question again?
We spoke about the fact that you think it's going to work out when you're obedient. But
yes, and it was... But we were now... Oh, the idea that I had. So we were trusting God for this house. And it fell through and it didn't work. And now we're like, what are we going to do next? So we got the idea for this house and we want to expand, but they say that's not enough money. And we also didn't even know how we're going to do the part that we wanted to do. And I remember that we were staying in the temporary place we were staying in. And
which God provided in a miraculous way.
By the way, that was crazy how God really provided. We were staying in a place that could probably be rented for 20,000 Rand and we paid 5,000 Rand a month. It was just God's grace.
Yes.
And I was putting the boys to bed and I was standing by their bedside waiting for them to fall asleep. And I was just like, Lord, how do we do this? How do we do this? And I just felt God say to me, in the same way that you were able to pay for your wedding, you can do this. What do you have in your hand? And what we had in our hand was a bit of a public platform, a way to reach an audience. And so I went to you and I said, you know, what if we, in a much bigger scale, approached the house build the same way we did our wedding, you know?
And most celebrities do their weddings.
Yeah, weddings... whatever. I mean, nowadays they do baby showers. They involve them in some way. Now it's just, they call it influencer deals.
Yes.
So it's just changed.
We're actually pioneers, baby. We had influencer deals before they were influencer deals.
Yeah, we were doing that in a big way. And so we thought, what if we did that? What if we partner with a magazine and a TV show and we'd say to them, would you document this whole thing? Yeah. And then we go to suppliers and say, listen, if you're on board, you will be mentioned, shown, whatever, on all these platforms, which is marketing.
Get the value of this exposure. We offer you the exposure value, and what are you willing to buy in, and then what are you willing to give us for that?
Which is a transaction. Yes. So it's not money exchanging hands, but it's value exchanging hands, and that was a really amazing brainwave we got from the Lord. And looking back, we were about to, if it was retail value and you had to pay for everything yourself, I think we made the sum, it was about 1.1 million rand worth of exposure that we were able to work with. And that's how God provided in a big way. And then, I mean, many other things were challenging. We still needed help, and God provided that help. And it was a tough time, but we grew so much. I mean, I thought of that verse in James 1 a lot. You know, count it all joy when trials of various kinds come your way. And then it talks about, because you have to build your character. But then eventually you will be perfect, complete, lacking nothing. And, you know, I just know God was on that road with us and our children and our callings and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
It was part of our story. And I remember now that you said, I mean, we were, like I said, we had this plan and we had people on board, but it was still tough. We still didn't have ends meet. The sums weren't klopping.
Yeah.
What is that in Engels?
Adding up.
It wasn't adding. It was still not adding up. And I remember putting the boys to bed one evening, and I was singing to them, but my mind was completely somewhere else. I was just like, Lord, I need a word from you right now. Because what happens is now I have to choose the finishes for the house. And in the flesh, I can only afford, if say for example, a company said to us, okay, you've got 300,000 rand of things that you can choose. I could have more things if I choose the cheaper one. Yeah. But I don't want to necessarily have the cheaper one in my house. I want the beautiful, expensive one. And I'm like, Lord, I don't want to limit my faith. If I'm going to put my faith out there, I want the most expensive taps, and I want the best kitchen. Because now imagine, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to scrape by. I'm just going to put in the basics, and then God comes through in such a miraculous way, and I'm like, why did I not believe for that? And I'm like, so that night I was lying in bed, and I said, Lord, I need a word from you right now.
Yes.
And I walked out of the room. I closed the door, and I walked to my bedside table, and I opened my Bible like this, and it was in Isaiah 54, and my eyes literally fell on the word that says, enlarge your tent pains, don't hold back. And I'm like, God, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose the best because you're going to come through. I don't see it, but I believe it. And he did.
Beautiful.
I'm so glad we went for what our heart's desire was and not limiting our God by our small-minded faith.
Amen.
So we did that, and then
through all of this, you are building a company.
I am,
and you know, expanding and trying new things.
Yes. In that time, I actually through two conversations with friends, it led. It's amazing how God works, because somebody would just ask a question and it stirs a thought, and then in the end, it led to my masterclasses that I'm doing to this day, where I realized that most, if not all, but I'm going to be fair and say most women has the desire to do something for themselves, like a style and color consultation, because every single person needs it, because every single person actually needs to know what they must and can wear that's going to work the best for them, so that they can make the best possible first impression and impression on a daily basis.
Just on that note, quickly say why. What are the main features in people that differ that causes that to be true?
Well, first of all of us want to make good impressions. And even though we live in times that have changed, in the sense that, I mean, I don't even want to go in there, but people think that it's not applicable anymore. As a human, you are still built and wired genetically to trust somebody, or to do business with somebody, or to let somebody into your life based on a first impression, based on a judgment that you make towards that person. And 55% of that impression is visually. So it's how you look, how you groom yourself, how your body language is. Do you look trustworthy or not, etc. 38% of that impression is your tone of voice, and only 7% is what you actually say. So every single day, maybe today you don't have a job because you don't make a good first impression every time you go for a job interview. Or, I mean, there are many reasons, but it should be your desire as a human being to want to be the best version of yourself and to represent yourself in the best possible way on a daily basis. So when it comes to the individuals between men and women, if I focus on women, we have different body shapes. So different styles of clothing is going to fit us differently, and it's going to make us look either beautiful or not. It's going to make us look imbalanced or not. We've got different face shapes, so different hairstyles is going to do something, different accessories is going to do something, and we want to find that perfect balance where, yes, this picture is perfect. It is complete and balanced because we're looking for balance. And then obviously when it comes to coloring, have certain colors that make you look absolutely radiant, certain that has limited effect, maybe make you look neutral, and then certain colors that's just like, no. Bad,
and that
bad,
gets
bad,
difficult
bad.
when you often say to me, the color of the season is now this.
Yes.
And now, there's a lady that looks at that and goes, oh, I should get it because it's the color of the season.
Yes.
But it might not work for her.
Yes.
Or just quickly give an advice on that. Maybe an example of someone who's one season wanting to wear the color of the season, but it doesn't really work for them unless they do certain adaptations.
Yes.
What could they do?
I don't want to give advice for free. You must pay me. You must come and do a masterclass.
Just a quick advice.
It's amazing how there are many seasons that you can fall into to actually determine your coloring. We look at your hair color, eye color, and skin color. And those three are the determinants to see which colors are going to work for you. Should you wear cool colors or warm colors? Should you wear bright colors or muted colors? Should you wear soft colors? It's like there are so many options. And you can't, like in the past when people only had 4 groups, say all dark-haired people fall in this category, all blonde people fall, all the redheads. It's not like that. You can have a dark-haired and a blonde in the same category, but they're there for different reasons. So there are many ways to wear wrong colors in the right way. Wear it in your shoes, wear it in a handbag, wear it somewhere else where it's not closest to your face, because the color that's closest to your face will have an effect on your face. And that is a podcast in itself. But
that's such great advice, and that's worth a lot of money.
Yes.
That you just said.
Yes.
I know this. So you need to, people that are listening, they should really come for your masterclass or online masterclass. So.
And then what happened was I realized that many women want to do it, but not all of them can necessarily afford a one-on-one consultation. So I thought, okay, how do I reach the masses where I see many more or many at once? They pay less because it's in a group setting, and I actually get to make money as well. So I started with a super group idea. It was first called a super group, and then it went to a masterclass. And I literally sat one day and I said, okay, how many people do I think I can handle on my own? And I came up with the amount of 30. I'm like, I think I can do 30. And then what I did is I thought, okay, I was booked to be a speaker at many places across the nation at that stage. I am going to take those places and line it up with a super group in that area. While I'm already there, I can stay longer or I can go earlier and I can double up with the super group, which I did. It was crazy. It was crazy. My first one happened in Vanderbijl or Vereniging or somewhere in the Valdriehoek, 3 Riviere actually. And I thought it was a good idea. I literally was booked. It was in August. It was booked for a Women's Day thing at a company in that area. And then I thought, okay, that's going to be on the Friday, so I'm just going to book my flight out on the Saturday afternoon, and then I'll do it on the Saturday morning. So that evening, I'm lying in this guest house alone, and I'm bored, and I see my laptop needs an update, so I'm updating my laptop. The next day is like, okay,
I remember
update,
this.
yes, install software. So I install the software. Soon realize, okay, I have to move now to get to my venue where I have to go. So long story short, I close my laptop. I go to the venue for my first ever supergroup called /masterclass. The women are coming in. They look beautiful. They're excited. I get to that venue. I open my laptop. It's dead. There's absolutely nothing.
Because it was upgrading,
So
updating.
I'm phoning you. You're like, hi, babe. I'm like, there's no time for hi, babe. I need you to focus now. This is what happened.
Yes.
This is my situation. People
Oh
I'm
my
like,
goodness.
smile, come
Yeah.
in.
By the way, this is something you have done more than once.
Many times.
Live.
Many times.
Yeah, the other day I was on a video call
Yes.
and I could see the whole crowd.
In a
That
masterclass
was
in Potchefstroom, I'm
crazy.
like, this is the situation. Say hi, everyone.
I'm the IT guy.
You are the
on
IT
call.
guy. I'm so thankful for you. And you're like, okay, eventually when you got what I said, you're like, you can't move Wi-Fi's in the middle of an installation. You're going to have to take your laptop back, let it complete the update, and then go and get it. So that's what I did. I said to the people, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Rushed back to the other guest house.
So luckily it was close.
It was closed. It was like 3 minutes away. Plugged it in. I asked the people, where is the Wi-Fi signal the strongest? They're in the kitchen. I said to the chef in the kitchen, tell me, you phone me at this number if you see this is done. it wasn't done for my whole presentation. So my first masterclass, I had to do without any backup. I had to speak for 3 hours with what I knew. And praise the Lord, by that time I've done it so often. I've done consultations and talks so often that I knew what I wanted to say.
You were already in and out of season.
I was already in and out of season. And that's what I teach my students. Like, know your subject.
Yeah.
Know your subject.
Because you never know what's going to go wrong.
You never know. I mean, I had to...
I feel like the subtitle for this talk is assumptions.
Yeah.
Because once again, you're talking about assumptions that you made, and a lot of them are reasonable assumptions. It's not like you went crazy, you know. I'm just going to quickly update my computer.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, do this and do that, and then you realize, oh my goodness. And every time we learn, every time we grow. Because what happened with your second supergroup?
So what happened was that was the Friday going into the Saturday. I remember and guys, I didn't have a system in place yet. I was color coding each one, going through the whole system, taking so much time. I remember rushing to the airport, shaking like this. I was like, what?
Maybe just quickly say what color coding entails, so that our listeners understand that it's not a simple process.
And you can't also just look at somebody and say, this is what you are. People do it, and I want to say it's not possible.
And every person doesn't have a circle face.
A round face.
A round face, sorry.
No, absolutely.
A round face.
Absolutely not.
This is why I don't do what you do.
Yeah. But what I found was that you have to determine 3 things, because it's your undertone, the one that I can't see, that actually determines your coloring. So you might look warm to me and I might think, okay, you're warm, but that's not what counts. I have to drape you. I have to put colors in front of you to see what happens to your face. To see whether you're cool or warm. So there are 3 steps. I have to see whether you're cool or warm, and then I have to see whether you look better in clear or muted colors, bright colors or toned down colors. And then I have to see which flow do you go to, because just trust me, there are 3 steps.
Yeah.
And I went through all of them
with each person,
and I was like, oh my word. Hectic. And I make the others wait for them. And that's why I said I drove away, and I'm like, this is crazy. What am I doing? And now I've already had booked the next weekend. So this was the Friday, Saturday. The next weekend I was booked for a talk in Leidenburg on the Saturday morning. So I flew in on the Friday morning. I did a super group in Witbank the Friday afternoon. Drove through either the Friday evening or maybe the Saturday morning early to Leidenburg for my talk with like 400 women. After that, I had a super group booked in Leidenburg the afternoon, and then I was going to drive through to Nelspruit and have on the Sunday have one in Nelspruit. Okay, and Friday in Witbank.
That's a busy weekend.
Very crazy weekend. That season of our life. I mean, we had to milk this. We had to skip.
Yeah,
because it was raining and we needed money. We were desperate. We were like, we had nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to say publicly, I can't thank you enough for that season, because there was a season where I wasn't earning really what I should be earning as the father, the husband of the home. And I was frustrated and struggling because I felt I did what God told me to do.
Yeah.
You were in agreement, but then how do you I was going into Christian ministry, I was traveling, I was working very hard, but not making what I used to make. And then God provided through your business in a miraculous way, but it was tough. And it put a lot of pressure on you. So I just want to say thank you. I want to say sorry as well, but I do think it was part of something God was doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you were amazing with the kids at home. It was a bit of a role
reversal
flip.
Yeah.
But I could do it because I knew they had a parent at home that's caring and loving, and I'm not just shoving them to somebody else to raise our kids. It was still you, which was awesome. It was actually good that we weren't both traveling and both getting out.
Because there was a season where we were high-fiving each other in the airport.
Yes, absolutely. So after the Witbank one, I was exhausted, and I was like, Lord, after Leidenburg, I can't do this. I need a strategy. I literally said to God on my way to Nelspruit, I need a plan. And he gave me a download. Like in a second, he said to me, okay, do this, especially because it was a coloring that took long. Yes, the measuring took a long time, but the coloring took extremely long.
I love that, because this is important. This is the kind of thing that people should know. If you are a believer and you are in the business world, no matter what job you have or direction you're in, this was something, a phrase that was coined that I heard from someone a few years ago. we have an unfair advantage
We do.
in the Holy Spirit.
We do.
And that's what you're describing,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. So he gave me a strategy, and when I went to Nelspruit, the coloring was done in 10 minutes. It was like
Yeah.
I was done, and I was like, what just happened?
Wow.
What just happened? And although it was an extremely exhausting weekend, I was driving back from Nelspruit to catch a flight at the airport in Joburg. I was so relieved for this strategy. Like, thank you. And in that time, it was in that time that we just started seeing the light, just with work coming in. For the second time round, the owner of SA Image Academy contacted me and said, I want to sell the business. The first time was the previous year, where we were in the thick of it. Like, she phoned me and I said, I don't want to add anything to our plate.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to do it. And I let it go. But what happened was, it was incredible. It was in September. I mean, my first supergroup was in August. In September, we had the opportunity, it was our 10-year anniversary. We had the opportunity to have the renewal of the vow ceremony, which is a story for another day, maybe. And
It did end up being a beautiful day.
It did.
But yeah, the other side will
It
tell
almost
another
led to
time.
a divorce, but it's
Oh
okay.
my word, don't
It's
go
okay.
there right now.
Anyway, so I remember the Monday morning I went to look at the venue where we were going to have it, and I went to the toilet, and I looked at my phone, and I saw I got a WhatsApp from this girl, from Manette, and she said, I've now had I'm either pregnant or I just had my second girl. I want to be a mom. I want to let go. Are you interested? And when I saw that message the second time around, I just knew.
This is an opportunity.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is God's plan for me.
Wow.
I got home. I asked our assistant at home, did you see? Oh, no. I said to her, this is the WhatsApp that I got. You were in the kitchen with her, by the way. You were in PE that previous evening. Okay? The Sunday. You were in PE. So I got home in the kitchen. I said, interesting WhatsApp that I got from Manette today. She actually said to me that she wants to sell SA Image, and I kind of feel like it's time.
Yeah.
It's now time.
Amazing.
And our assistant at that stage said, did you read the email that came in? I'm like, no, I don't have that email address on my phone. She said, an email came in. You were in PE the previous night, and there was a guy who said, I was in the audience listening to Heinz, but then God gave me a word for his wife that says, opportunities are going to come your way.
I remember. Wow.
Grab onto it. Like,
yes.
on that same day.
Come on.
Like, okay, this is it. And then we started talking and negotiating, and SA Image was still linked to another company, and by God's grace, and it was definitely God's plan, we were able to end that agreement with the other company, where it left us to have freedom to develop our app and do what we wanted to do ever since. And
can I just interject? Sorry.
Yes.
So just for clarity, you trained through SA Image yourself.
Yes.
You started a business as a image consultant yourself, and then the opportunity to take over the business that trained you so that you can become the trainer, that came about.
Yes.
That I think that's important for people to understand, that you bought the company that trained you. And around the time that you first tried and then that didn't work out and you eventually went in the other direction, we had a beautiful moment with one of our children.
Yes.
Just talk about that.
So we were negotiating with the overseas company, because we had a license, or SA Image had a license with that company.
Yeah.
They had to approve the buyer. They had to. So it's a beautiful story, actually, because in this time, I would share with my parents what opportunities arose, and my mom said to me, phone your brother. Your oldest brother. So I'm the baby of 4. I've got an oldest brother, sister, brother, and then it's me. And she said, he's got a business mind. He just speak to him about this. And I was almost like rolling my eyes, like, just check with your older brother. I'm like, I can do this. I can actually do this on my own, but okay, I'll check with him. And just by doing that, it opened up a door where now, 7-8 years later, we are in constant business together, and we're such a mean team. We actually work so well together. And I sent him the contracts, and he started asking questions and we started negotiating and we saw the people from the other country. And we had this whole journey, and eventually it came to a point where they expected so much, just extra that we needed to pay, that it came to a point where I actually said to Manette, I can't do this. We can't afford it. We went through it. It's a great opportunity. And she said to me, well, we're going to have a bunch of unhappy consultants because there are consultants relying on this company because she wants to close the doors. And she can't.
What do we do?
What do we do? And one day I was sitting in the car and I said to her, what if I take over the company but I don't buy it? I just take it over. I become the CEO and I run it.
Start a new entity.
Well, not to start a new entity. It was still the same company. It was still linked to the other company. But I run it on your behalf because she doesn't want to run it. But I have the drive and I want to learn more and I want to go and make it better and bigger. So that's what we did. We started out with that, where I started running the company. So we let the other company know the sale is not going through anymore.
Okay.
And I'm going to run the company. So not a month or two later, if I'm not mistaken, they actually came back to us because I think there still was a 3-year contract that needed to play out. They came to us and said, maybe it's time that we end the contract, which I believe was absolutely God's way of releasing us. Because if you are bound to another company, you are bound to their rules and regulations. You're under their covering. And I made a video once to ask literally, who are you getting in bed with? Are you equally or unequally yoked? Do you believe the same things? Do you have the same values?
Yeah.
And even in this time when I started taking over SA Image without owning it yet, my heart, ever since I started doing image consulting, was to get to the heart of the person. Because it was very evident from day one, the first client I saw, it was all about, I believe lies about myself. I'm sitting here not liking my knees, not liking my nose, not liking my lips, my ears, my whatever. So I want you to make me feel better about myself. And I can do this. I can do it like this. I can dress you in something beautiful. I can
on the outside.
I can make you look beautiful with new makeup and new hair. We can do it. It's not brain surgery. I mean, people do easy makeovers and get incredible amount of views on social media right now. But where is that person a month later?
Yeah, can they continue?
Sustain it. They can't sustain it because...
What's the consistency afterwards? Yeah.
The lie that they believe about themselves weren't dealt with. It weren't.
You do what you do because of what you think of you.
Absolutely.
It manifests. Yeah.
So I've noticed that I could do a makeover and I would bump into somebody a few months later and they will be right back where they were if I did not address the lies. So from the beginning, I would sit with somebody and they would share their story with me and I would just prompt them, like, what about this?
So you had a different approach.
I had a different
than the
approach.
company that you were trying to take over.
Yes.
I just want to remind you of my question.
Yes.
Of what happened with one of our children.
I know, I'm getting to that.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay, it seemed like you were, sorry. Okay.
Yes. So, no, I remember that. So that has been my heart. And the moment the opportunity arose for me to take SA Image over, that was, I wanted to incorporate that because I wanted to bring my years of seeing clients and dealing with lies and just prompting them. Like I had one girl who said, she's actually now one of my consultants, who said to me, she was such a tomboy growing up. She was just like always in shorts and always climbing trees. And I literally looked at her and I'm like, did your dad want a boy? And she was like, she brought her mom with to the consultation and she looked at her mom. She's like, he actually wanted a boy. So I'm like, so you try to be the boy that he didn't have.
Yeah.
She cracked because she realized that was not who she was. She wasn't born to be a tomboy.
And that's, everyone has a story like that.
Everyone. I can write a book on what I've heard between those four walls of my studio.
Confessions of an image consultant.
We've spoken about that before. It's incredible. And a simple question just unlocks that, oh my word, I've believed this about myself my whole life. Like one woman, she had no confidence when she came to me. None. She couldn't even look me in the eye. And she should. Because of coloring, she had the most beautiful eyes. She should be bubbly, outspoken, like life of the party, had zero confidence. She tells me, I'm just tell me your story. just before we get into image, tell me your story. And she spoke about the fact that her mother had, to this day, she's in her 40s, never had a good word for her, not one good word.
Wow.
And her two siblings can't do anything wrong in her mother's eyes. And eventually she said, oh, and when I was 15, I found out I was an illegitimate child. I'm like, there you go. That is your answer. Your mom blames you for what she did.
Or feels guilty, and
and she
when she looks at you, she's
a reminder of that.
You're the reminder of the mistake.
And that woman was like, revelation. And that is the most beautiful thing of my job, is those moments, oh my word. I don't like my knees because when I was 9, somebody said something about it who was actually jealous, and or whatever the case may be. So I wanted to bring that in our training from the word go. And I couldn't do anything like that while there was somebody above us or
because when you're under another brand and company with their own system, you can't just do what you want.
No, I can't change stuff. And anyway, so they came out of the blue and said, let's end the license, which was a shocker because now you're on your own, but also a relief. So it was a bit of both.
Yeah, because it's like being a franchise. The franchise does bring certain things to the table, but there's control.
Yes.
But so now you lose one thing, but you gain another.
Yes. So that January, this all happened from September, October, November, December. That January, our eldest was 6 years old. He was still lisping. It was so cute. He's now almost 15, which is crazy. Wow. He was 6 years old, and we wanted to. We saw with some of our friends that in January they was like almost the first they have this prophetic session where we just prophesy over each other, and we actually did it with our circle of friends. Like when we were together on a New Year's, we would like.
Yeah, what's the word for the year for each other?
Yes, which is awesome. I think that is a way to go into a new year.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to create traditions, it should be stuff like that.
And this January, I called. Well, we had a baby. A 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I called them and we said, we're going to just trust God for a word. Just any picture, any word, whatever comes to mind.
What do you see? And share it with us.
The 4-year-old is, I see my mom in a gown. I'm like, okay, not literal, but anyway. But my eldest, in a split second of closing his eyes, he says, I see you, Mom, knocking on a door of a castle. And the queen closes the door, or she opens it, but she closes it without any reason. He goes like this. Yeah. Without any reason, she closes the door. She like kind of shuts you off. But then you went to another kingdom and you became the queen. He was 6. And I didn't get it at first. I was like, okay, this sounds like a fairy tale. Like, thanks, Leon, thanks. But that next day, when I realized what he said, I had goosebumps all over my body. And he said to you, I remember, he said, I see you're a builder in God's kingdom. You're a builder. You're building the church, which is quite powerful because it's happening right now.
Yeah, and it was years before.
It was years before. And when I realized God allowed the queen to close the door so that I can go to another kingdom and actually become the queen and not be the princess, but the queen, was just like, it was just powerful. And the rest is history, or not.
It was but that was a defining moment, and the heart that you have to see women not just look good on the outside, but actually have a transformation on the inside that would reflect on the outside.
Yes.
That was the spark of the new Essa image, and that is still now driving you.
Even more so, because 90% of the testimonials that we get, and you can have a look on Google because we've got many reviews, says that the personal development section is what changed their lives forever. Because we just ask certain questions. We just spark certain conversations.
When someone starts the course to become an image consultant, they start with a personal development chapter.
Yes. Well, syllabus.
Syllabus.
With many chapters, yes.
All right.
And we dig deep. We speak about identity. Who are you? Because I realized if I'm a broken person as an image consultant and I have to now consult a broken person, it's 2 broken people that's going to go down the wrong road.
I really believe in the principle that you can only give what you have.
Absolutely.
If you don't have something, how can you give it? And on the negative side, if you have something negative, you're going to give that.
Yes.
So you need to be, I mean, you believe we each need to be the healthiest version of ourselves
Yes.
in the season we're in so that we can give the best we can give, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that has been my heart. And eventually, I mean, Manette and I worked together for a while. And eventually, I actually I went to Bloemfontein for a talk or something. And she said to me, okay, I see you've got this. I want you to buy the business and take it over completely. And God provided for that to happen. And I'm a sole owner now, and which gave me the legal right to do whatever I felt was necessary for the course to thrive, and bring in personal development and update things and change things around and bring in an online course and create an app, which nobody had at that stage. And we're still, from what I can see, the only app that has style and color available, where you can do a consultation. I give it to my consultants to see clients have their results on one app, color and style wise. And that all came from the fact that I had the freedom to do that.
Sure. And did any of this happen easily, or was there some resistance as this was taking place?
Oh, the resistance. That resistance. That same company, overseas company, started a South African branch in South Africa, a new company.
Yeah, so they eventually did give the license to someone else.
They did start, yeah. And the problem was, now we sit with a database of people who studied with us physically, and they sit with the same database of people who studied through us but licensed to them. So there was this, from the beginning, there was this fight for people.
Yeah.
Like, who are these people going to choose? And because now they have to choose.
Why is there a fight though? Because students mean money, income, and it's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
But you, from the start, had the thing of like, well, this is not the only pool of people. We've got a whole nation. We actually, eventually, you realized there's an international.
Yes.
So there's no. What I like about your approach from the beginning, and I think any reasonable person would agree, is that there's enough space for any image training company to do their thing. There doesn't need to be, it's like, I mean, in business I realize there's always competition, but competition is healthy, but there's a healthy way to do competition. But you were getting this resistance from this company, and it eventually grew into quite a big resistance. And that, I mean, we can talk about this now because this is the BoldCast.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk boldly about controversial issues. Towards the end of 2024, you were in a massive article in the Rapport, which is a local, well, I guess you can call it a newspaper.
Tabloid.
It's a Sunday tabloid in Afrikaans. So. And they had someone that called herself an investigative journalist that did a story. And tell us a bit more about that and your experience of that, and how it all actually started. The story that broke started years ago when you took over your company.
Yes.
So just tell your side of how did that all happen and culminate in that moment.
Okay. So obviously when the other company pulled out, we had to create our own stuff because it's the license, so it's how it works. So Manette and I...
Just elaborate on that stuff. What does that entail?
Training materials, training tools, everything.
Manuals.
Absolutely. And remember, we didn't initiate the pull out.
Yeah.
They did.
Yes.
And we had courses lined up. People
who paid to be trained. Yes.
So Manette and I, we put together a team of people to create content. We have to now create this. Okay. So that's what happened. We created manuals, we created tools, we created from what we know, from what we've learned. She's trained it for example, 6-7 years. I've consulted in that for how many ever years. So in 2019, I got my first email from the head of the company that said to me, they have obtained our manuals from people who have since gone over from our company to their company. And they have noticed that it looks exactly like their manuals, and they require a certain amount of money and want me to say sorry publicly, etc., etc.
They're not happy.
They're not, obviously.
They're
not
claiming
happy.
plagiarism.
Yes. So I immediately phoned a lawyer. I phoned a friend who had whose husband is a lawyer, and he connected me with the top, like, what is that, copyright kind of lawyer in South Africa. And I had a meeting with him. I was busy with training. I was heavily pregnant. I had a meeting with him, and he said to me, okay, well, bring me the manuals and I'll have a look. I have literally since not seen their manual. Like, their manual, it wasn't fresh in my mind, as if I'm like, so I had to go and get it to them. And I gave it to him. And he said to me, Aletté, this is actually really similar. I'm like, okay.
Too similar for comfort.
Too similar for comfort. This is actually dangerous territory.
Okay.
So I said, okay, well, obviously I don't want manuals that looks like somebody else's or copy theirs.
Yeah.
So
You didn't set out to commit plagiarism. No.
And I obviously also didn't write the manual myself, unlike popular belief. So I wrote them an email, and I said, I obviously don't have money to pay you the demands. I couldn't meet the demands. And I wrote them an email, and I said, I am really sorry that this happened under my watch. I'm really sorry. This is obviously not good. From my side, I'm sorry. And
we will change it.
And we will change it.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. You decided to write whole new manuals from the start. Yeah.
Yes. Well, do what we can do with what we have. Yeah. And I didn't hear back from them, so I thought, okay, they must have accepted it. Flippin' thankful that they didn't follow up and make it a massive scene. And I sat during a December holiday. I'm giving birth in January.
Yeah.
On my bed with documents, with Google, with what, and I change things around as much as I can with what I had, with what I know. Like certain, okay, we'll get there. Certain things, especially in a color manual, are certain things. There are certain
facts
steps
are facts
that I need to follow to do a consultation. There are things that I can change it around as much as possible. It's going to stay the same because it's.
But if someone has black hair, they have black hair.
They have black hair.
If a certain face shape has a certain result, then it's going to stay the same. It's similar to, if someone writes a geography handbook. The one guy writes about the ocean, the other guy writes about the ocean. Similar, certain facts will just be the same.
It is not. It's not a manual where we can come from different viewpoints. If this is what I learned in this order, if this is what Manette trained in that order, that is what we know.
Yeah.
In that order, this is how it's going to have to be. This is how I'm going to have to teach this.
Yes.
To make sense. So I did what I thought was good enough to change it up.
Yeah.
Literally. And put out new manuals. Okay. And and what happened since was that I got my accreditation at the AICI, which is the Association of Image Consultants Internationally, which is to this point probably the biggest organization internationally where image consultants belong to. And I went to get my first level accreditation. I went to Chicago to write exams. I got it. And then I went to the second level. There are only 3 levels. And I got that in, I think, October of 2022, which made me the highest certified image consultant in Africa because nobody else has that specific certification. Okay?
And, it was a lot of work and a lot of effort to get to that place. You really put effort,
and money,
lots of money to pay for that privilege, accreditation.
Yeah. And you have to build a portfolio. It took a long time. It's not as if you can get it together and rock up and here's my portfolio. You have to prove that you are a master in your industry, that you know what you're talking about, etc., etc.
You've put in the hours.
You put in the hours. And then when I needed that accreditation, that level, CIP, Certified Image Professional, to be able to get my course internationally accredited.
Yeah.
And we did that, and then we applied for the course, and in, I think, October 2023, so a year later, only did I actually get the course accredited. So they sent us an email, said, you've got it, well done, we're so proud of you, your course is accredited. That was in October. And obviously, soon after, we made it known on social media to say we are now an international accredited provider.
You're a CIP, and the company you run is now internationally accredited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that was the one thing that the other company used all the time to market their courses, was that they're the only international accredited company.
Yeah.
Although there are other companies in South Africa who also claim that they're internationally accredited. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I don't know who accredits who. It's like that is a part of the reason why everything happened like it happened. But then so we got that in October of 2023. In that December, I got an email from the AICI Ethics Committee that said there are severe claims against me regarding our color manual, and they sent me the word by word document that the people from overseas literally marked everything that is similar to theirs. I literally...
So again, basically the same claim against you, that you're copying stuff,
yes.
but years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
So first of all, they obtain my manuals illegally because they're not allowed to have it.
It's only available to your students.
My students and my consultants, and they all have signed
non-disclosures. Yeah.
Okay, so they're not allowed to share it, but that is what happened. And I let it go because I'm not going to go around the bush there. So I opened the document and I literally saw, that's all I did. I opened it up. I saw that she started tracking the comparisons 2 days or 3 days. It was crazy close to the day we made public that we are internationally accredited.
Yep.
And I knew this was a personal vendetta. It's not even about the manual, because she's had the manual forever. Why now, suddenly? 2 days after we get our accreditation, we make it known. Now suddenly you start tracking and putting
Well, because now they can't say they're the only one. Yeah.
And I closed it up, and they said I must respond by January. And I went on holiday, and I had a good time with my family. And in January, I responded and said, sorry, like, I don't know. I don't even really know.
What am I going to do about this?
What's? And they said, we must have a Zoom. And I'm like, by all means, let's have a Zoom. Let's have a Zoom. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my not conflict, I wasn't even afraid of the Zoom, because I knew from my side, what is the heart, where is it coming from? And I'm like,
you're trying to help people.
I'm trying to help people. I'm in my eyes, I wasn't in the wrong here.
Yeah.
Had the Zoom, and the woman said to me, okay, so I just want to hear from your side. I said, here is our latest manual.
Sorry, this is now you're talking to the ethics committee of AICI. You're not talking to the company that is making the allegations.
Yeah. Ethics committee, and they were very kind and supportive. And I said, listen, here's our latest manual. I don't even know which manual you're using, but here's our latest manual.
Yeah.
Have a look. Let me know. Where are the issues?
Where can I make changes?
Where can I make changes? Because I really don't want my manuals to look the same. I just really don't, because I'm not like that. And I want it to be amazing and the best of the best. So please tell me where there are similarities, and I will change it around. And they were like, awesome, cool, like very chill. This is what's going to happen. Should have had a recording of that Zoom meeting, by the way. And the next thing I know, 2 weeks later, they said, the other thing that also happened, which is quite important, is we've started noticing that said company will contact our consultants in very, very subtle ways. Comment on their social media, inbox them, luring them to go over to their sites. Because how it works is you have...
especially once they've trained already.
Yes.
And now they become part of your sisterhood.
Yes.
And then they would be targeted and lured. Yeah.
Yes. And many of my consultants would actually tell me, this is what they said. They phoned. People said they phoned me. They've said to me, why don't you join them? I've seen them in person. They say this and this about you, Aletté. They say, when you get to a masterclass, they do all the work, I get all the money, and I take all the work away from their town. Okay?
Sure.
Yeah, once you've studied with us, there's no support. You're on your own, where they will give you the support, like things like that they've said. And
So blatant lies to win people over to their company.
Yes. And blatant, I'm going to say blasphemy. What is the word? Defamation of character.
And because they're telling lies in a public forum, which is defamation.
Yes.
Yeah. Discrediting you, your company, and your reputation.
So I've heard this already in like July of the previous year. I've had the knowledge of that for a while, and still I didn't do anything about it. I just Lord, bless them. Bless them. Bless them. May they be blessed. I literally do it. May they have many students. May they have many consultants. And so the other reason, the ethics committee, so what happened was, at one stage they would literally, my people would cancel, and they will join them, or they won't cancel with me, they will join them. So how it works is, after you've studied, you become a consultant. Then we have a membership program where you pay a monthly fee, and in that fee you can use our app, you can get support, you get on the WhatsApp groups. There are a bunch of
advantages, benefits
to be in the group. And now people will be joining us and them. They trained with us, but they will join them as well. And I'm like, you can't have your foot in two worlds. We don't have the same value system. We don't have the same image consulting system. We don't have the same tools. And I can't freely share any marketing ideas with you.
Yeah.
And then they're having a special, maybe we should have it too, or whatever the idea. I will not be able to just be myself and have my sorority and have the freedom to say what I want if I know there's somebody who's constantly, because of the fact that I knew that they were luring our people away.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it's a legit concern that there could be a form of corporate espionage. You know, they accuse you of stealing stuff, but now they're actively getting your people and finding out what are they doing at SA Image.
Yeah. So that was one of my rules that I just said, I'm sorry, you can't. You can cancel with us and you can join them, and we will bless you.
Yeah.
But you're not going to have your foot in both doors.
Which, I mean, some people would say that's reasonable to, if you cannot be a member of two similar kinds of companies that give similar services because there's a conflict of interest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is confusing to the student that wants to come in, because you're with them and with them. So who did you train with, and what's going on here? So it's for the customer, for the student. It's just it's a message that's, what is the dubbelsinnig? It's just not in my mind. I'm like, I don't know how you can think that it is okay. And
you make that clear from the start. If you train, join, this is how it works. It's not like a surprise, and it doesn't break any rules as far as we know, or laws. This is just the way that you run your company. And if you give it up front and tell people that's how it works, then how could there be a problem?
You literally signed
exactly
to a contract.
It's an agreement.
It's an agreement.
Yeah.
So that was the other claim that they had against me at the ethics committee. How can I only allow my people to be a member at one company? And I was just like, I don't understand how you can think otherwise. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, how does that fall under the purview of ethics if it's actually a way to keep ethical business practices? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And anyway, 2 weeks later, after the Zoom call, I got the email that said, sorry, nee, all your accreditation is stripped away.
Sure.
Everything. You're not CIP anymore, and you are not internationally accredited with AICI anymore. No.
That is so hectic.
No, even coming back saying, listen, we've looked at your manuals. This is the situation.
Giving you an opportunity to change what has been complained about.
And I actually audaciously said to them, it's very evident that you're in bed with someone, because just the way you're acting right now is absolutely unacceptable from an ethics committee, because you're not giving me a voice in this situation at all. You're just like, sorry, nee, klaar, stamp.
It seemed, I mean, no. I was with you all the way through that. It seemed like you were guilty until proven innocent, without actually giving you a chance to prove your innocence, or to, if you are guilty of something, to rectify and to stay. Because it was, what was shocking to me was how they could take your money, make you do all the work to become a member and then to just revoke it in a moment.
And not give your money back, by the way.
Not give your money back. Take the side of the accuser without getting proper proof of everything, and as I said, not giving you a chance to rectify. That doesn't seem fair, and it doesn't seem ethical. And that was, both of us had that problem with that whole process. But anyway, continue.
And they actually said that the main reason was because of the dual membership, that I didn't allow that. It wasn't even the manual. They didn't even revert back to it again. There was the dual membership. And anyway, I fought. I wrote an email to all the consultants or students who's ever studied with us to say, this is what happened. This is my side of the story, step by step, where they stepped over the line, illegally contacting my students when they weren't allowed to, illegally getting my handbooks, illegally doing a lot of things.
So nothing we're discussing today has not been shared with your company and your people. Yeah.
Yes. And having screenshots of inbox messages in Instagram luring my people. Why don't you? Have you thought of joining this company?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like literally having
proof
of that.
Yeah.
And the AICI,
which is so unethical.
It's so unethical.
You shared it with the AICI, and who is still an AICI member? This other company.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Anyway, babe, so they took it all away, and my body went into shock. It started there already. I literally felt like I was just like, I can't even believe it. I can't believe that people can deal business in such a way. It's just like it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
And the levels of anger and upsetness as your husband that I had to deal with. I mean, we've never talked about this out in the open because
at all. Yeah.
You know, as a Christian, you're supposed to react in a certain way. But when your wife is attacked, and when your dual income into your home is put under strain and pressure, and someone's just stealing from you, I mean, it's hectic, and it was a rough time, and it was not the end. So it was just part of the process.
It was part of the process. So that happened in itself, and now I have to date back to. In 2018, I had a student who wanted to come and do my course from Namibia, and she let me know that she can't get a study visa because we are not accredited with Sitta. And I'm like, what is accredited with Sitta? What does it even mean? What does it mean? Anyway, that opened the door for us as SA Image, and I myself going to the Chamber of Commerce in Joburg, saying, why is image consulting not recognized as an official career in South Africa? Which we started the process. It opened the door.
So you championed, you and SA Image championed the process of getting image consulting as a business into a Sitta accreditation.
Yes. And
that's huge.
That would be the first. We are in the final stages. We are literally waiting for the final approval right now.
How many years has this been taking?
From 2018. So
from 2018.
7 years.
7 years of Zoom calls and meetings and putting it out there.
Yes.
And the company that's attacking you and those who jumped on board with them were not part of this from the beginning, even though they were invited.
No, most of them were.
They were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it had to be open for the whole image consulting industry.
All right. So I remember that incorrectly. Okay.
Besides that, when this happens, South Africa will be the first country in the world where the government backs image consulting.
Wow. That's huge.
It is higher than the AICI, because the AICI is an institution that started in the garage with a bunch of ladies that just grew, and just because whatever, they did some good choices and business decisions to make it an official company. But this is government accredited.
National level.
International, actually.
Okay.
It's internationally accredited by our government.
So when you're accredited by Sitta in South Africa, there are other countries who will also recognize the level of accreditation.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we started the process. Everybody was invited. They had to. We had to send through a list of every training academy. Everybody was invited, etc., etc. So through lockdown, we were on tiresome Zoom calls, creating a curriculum.
I remember hours and hours.
Hours and hours.
How was this going to work?
How is it going to work? And you're sitting with your competition on a Zoom call. All of us together. We're working together. Everybody has a say. Everybody has to have a
Just
voice.
Quickly, what is the big advantage of getting image consulting registered with Sitta and how could it benefit all the image consulting training companies?
Well, for one, the government can send you students, people who won't be able to actually do the course. You are now on their list of universities and training academies and colleges that they can.
So would the government then pay their fee?
Yes.
Okay, so there's the advantage of reaching more students.
Yes.
Especially students that couldn't normally afford that.
Yes.
So you're going to communities where they are now they have the advantage of being exposed to this kind of industry.
Yes.
And the company who trains is now able to earn more income.
Yes.
Correct? And you're doing it for all of them.
For all of us.
Yeah, that's huge.
So all of us will benefit.
Yeah.
So I have to do this quickly as possible. What also happens, I mean, imagine if there's an influx in image consultants where the people who are doing the course become better versions of themselves. They learn all about etiquette and body language and how to work in the corporate company and environment and be the best version of themselves. They are able to go and teach other people, because it's like a domino effect. Now it starts with people going out into the world, doing practicals, doing internships at companies, where suddenly in a random company there's an image consultant being able to teach you, this is how you sit, this is how you stand, this is how you write an email, this is how you answer the phone, this is the correct way of doing things. It
makes the whole world a better place.
The whole world is a better place, like legit. Anyway, so we started this process, and then we waited a long time for approval, and then in the beginning of last year, they actually said that we have to redo something again, which meant that we had to spend hours and hours on Zoom calls again for the majority of the year. And then there were other companies who came to the party who wasn't initially invited. But this is an important part that I have to say. When I inherited or bought SA Image Academy, I also got an association that Manette started years ago, called, at that stage it was PIAA, which is the Professional Image Association of Africa. When we first started with the Sitta process, I met Marina. Marina was the president of APIXA, which was, I can't remember what it stood for, but it was also a membership association for image consultants. And we were like, we've got two associations, why don't we merge and become the image consulting body or association for South Africans? And we did.
Which is something that was a prerequisite for Sitta approval, right?
Yes.
That's part of it. You needed this body.
You needed a body
for Sitta to be operational.
You can't have a curriculum without a body, and you can't have a body without a curriculum. So it's a whole scientific story. Anyway, so we merged and we started the IPIA, which is the International Professional Image Association. Okay. On this association, I mean, we've had many board members previously. I kind of inherited it. At one stage, everybody else in the previous generation bedanked.
They stepped down, resigned. Yeah.
And I got to invite new board members, people that I've seen in the industry that I have long have relationship with or whatever. So we had an actually just divine appointments. I invited. She is the president, no association with SA Image. At that stage, two of the competition's members, were at the competition. Myself and then one of the other girls from SA Image was on the board. So we had two from the other company, two from my company, and somebody is totally independent. Oh, and another girl who's independent from Africa. So we had 6 members. Okay. And we were now doing this process with Sitta. And in one day, both of those girls who were at the other company separately, individually, gave me a call and said, what do I need to do to come over to SA Image?
Wow.
I'm like, what happened?
That's interesting.
That's interesting, because normally my people go over to that side and they're like, what do I need to do to come over to your side?
Sure.
And I was like, what happened? And they said that said company and another company actually wrote a lawyer's letter to prohibit this process from going on, to prevent it, to stop the process from all of us.
Sitta?
Of Sitta and Image
Stop the whole thing?
Stop the whole thing.
Nice.
Because they feel like they weren't included. So, I mean, this is years coming. They said they weren't included in allerhande goedjies.
Wow. Well, they were included. It means they actually felt like they weren't in charge.
It's probably.
And they hated the fact that you're in charge. Not in charge, but you took the lead. Yeah.
And they said, we can't work with people like that. We can't, after all this time, to now flip and say, not going to happen. And I mean, they didn't get anywhere because the legal letter didn't, it was like nothing.
Yeah.
But these two then came over. So now we have a board where we've got 2 independents and 4 people from SA Image Academy. So it looks dodge.
Yeah.
But why?
But
why
it wasn't that way.
It wasn't dodge.
Yeah.
Okay. So mid 2024, we rock up for a Zoom call.
A Sitta
Zoom call. I'm still in my workout clothes. I'm going to do this. Luckily, the cameras aren't on. And the government people opened the session to say, before we go ahead with the session today, we just have a situation that came up this weekend that we need to discuss. And I'm still chilled. I'm like excited what happened this weekend. I'm shaking.
Sure, babe.
And the next moment, one of the involved people started speaking. She said, she just want to say it's not just her. This is actually, we've got 4 training academies, which I've since learned we actually have more training academies in South Africa. We've got 4 main ones. And 3 of the 4 had a whole discussion over the weekend. They put a document together, an emailer with my face plastered all over it, scrutinizing my website, IPA's website, IPA's members, the body, the policies and procedures, my social media. Like, they literally ripped me apart. Okay? I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
How long were they taking to discredit you, attack you, show all these things on the Zoom call? How long did that go on in the meeting?
In this meeting, it was the APIA president actually said this is not the platform for this.
So he didn't even know what was coming. He just they asked for a moment in the meeting and they said, okay, someone wants to talk, and then they realized.
No, the government knew. Sitta people knew because they've already contacted them over the weekend.
Okay.
It was because of a video that I made where I marketed my courses and where I said that we are soon going to be recognized as a accredited international government accreditation, and that's going to make prizes shoot through the roof, which is
so book now,
which is good marketing and which is the truth. Because if we're gonna get better, do you think our prices are gonna drop? If we give the student more, that's just
so they were upset with the fact that you said that in their eyes prematurely, so you can make sales.
Yes.
Okay.
They were upset about an emailer that I sent out that I said pretty soon the image industry is going to do something, and then I said we have been, and in my mind, if there's a we in the beginning of the sentence, it refers to something that has been said in the previous sentence, which was the image industry. So they said my emailer claimed that I was the only one doing the process. I'm like, no, it says the image industry. It didn't say me. Anyway, so
sometimes you read what you want to read, and unfortunately, with words.
Eventually, we set out another meeting, which was like a court case. I was, what was that? What do you call it? Like a summons. To appear in court.
Summoned.
I was literally summoned.
And then attacked.
So we had a whole session to discuss me. Okay, and since then, they have included me in the emails. So the emailer gets so long. And they include all these attachments every time. Every time, the attachments, the screenshots of my social media, of my this. So that was wrong, that was scrutinized. Why? Well, how can you say you are... man, it's crazy. And this email, every now and then I just see this email and somebody else is added to it and somebody else is forwarded, to the point where I got my lawyer involved and said, this is unacceptable. This is defamation. This is publicly discrediting me. And she wrote...
In the industry that you are in. And how did this make you feel physically, mentally, psychologically every time?
My body went into shock. I literally have trauma from that time.
Major trauma.
Like my body lapsed. It was just like I had to go for a lot of treatment to get my health up and running again.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe that in an image industry where we're supposed to uplift and build one another, how it is possible to be so insecure that you need to feel like you have to bring other people down for you to be seen. That is what it came down
Not
to.
just bring them down, like
Freaking annihilate them.
break them
Yeah.
into nothing so that you can just have a space in the industry and that there could be so much hate. It's just crazy.
And then that went on. We had the Zoom call. We had so Sitta was there Sitta didn't even want to be involved. They were like, this is your TIF. This has got nothing to do with us. You sort it out. I was wrong, and I admitted it in that call where I said SA Image is accredited with IHBC, and it's the only company accredited internationally. That was also put on my website like 6 years ago in a Q&A. I wasn't even aware that it was still there. They showed it to me. I'm like, thank you for showing this to me.
Yeah.
I will change that. Okay.
Which can happen, and it's a reasonable mistake to not check every page on all of your website and fix it.
It hasn't been updated for 6 years, literally. And even dating it back, I can't even remember who put it on or why it was there. But I said, I'm taking full responsibility.
You did.
That was the incorrect wording. I'm fixing it. The claims that were made afterwards was that Sitta forced me to change the wording. Sitta was like, and we've got recordings to prove this, maybe it's better if you use another word, just to keep the peace. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not use accreditation, maybe use support, whatever the word may be. That was their attitude. Like they were just like, we don't even want to get involved with the session.
There's no legal pressure. It was more like, okay, we have a toddler that's having a tantrum, just put it in a different way. Yeah.
Anyway, that being said, that left, and obviously the accusations were why it's only SA Image in this board. It's only, I'm like, guys, this is your own fault.
Yeah.
I don't know what you caused them to come over and they are gems. I'm like thanking
awesome
the
people
Lord
with great character
every single day for them, because what they have added to the value that they've added to the board and to SA Image is just incredible. But anyway, so that happened in July.
So when they attack that, they're not just attacking you, they are actually attacking those two people.
All of them. They're attacking the board.
Used to be with them.
Yeah.
Just, if you're associated with Aletté Winckler, you're kind of guilty by association, which is just so unreasonable.
Anyway, we fixed what we could fix. We took off pages. We changed what we could change. And then what happened, the last straw that broke the camel's back was in November, when I had a consultant again, actually two girls that I've noticed is also with the other company again. And now I've lost my accreditation. The reason why I would have been a bit more lenient, because these people would have said, while you are under our umbrella, you can't do it. Now I don't have that anymore. So I have no reason not to say, I'm putting my foot down. This is where you are. You choose.
Yeah.
You choose. This is what it is.
Choose a company where you're going to be part of the membership. Yeah.
So I made a post on my closed WhatsApp group with my consultants. Very private, closed WhatsApp group. And I said, okay, so this is the facts. This is what happened in this year. This is how it started. This is what happened in the beginning when they took our accreditation away. This is what happened in the middle of the year when 3 companies, and I mentioned them by name, 3 companies turned on me and defamed me with emailers going anywhere and everywhere. I have no control over it. Everywhere. My face is plastered over emails. I actually have a lawyer's letter to prove that, etc., etc. And I'm putting my foot down. I will not let you be a member in 2 companies. So if you choose them, I promise you, we love you, we bless you. We will not think any less of you. But you can't be in both places at once. It's just like I'm putting my foot down. It wasn't even 3 hours later, I get my first email from the competition, from one of the companies that said they just got our emailer that was sent out. It wasn't an emailer, it was a closed WhatsApp group.
So it starts off with wrong information and not, correctly understanding what's happened. You send out a private WhatsApp group message. They call it an emailer,
And so one of my trusted consultants, leaked it to them. Probably one who has their foot in 2 places. We'll never know.
And you have asked or made it clear to your group that whatever happens in this group stays in this group.
It is.
So there's a basic NDA.
There is a basic NDA when you sign up for my membership. There is an NDA, like all the training material, everything we do, everything we discuss. It is our
which is basic protection of international intellectual property.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have no control, obviously, if they leak something. And I was obviously also very hurt and disappointed that somebody would do that. But I had nothing to hide. I gave you the facts. This is what happened.
Yeah.
This is what you did on a public forum. You discredited me. You defamed me. My body literally went into shock. I was never the same again.
Yeah.
I had to pay somebody a lot of money to treat me, to get back to a place where I can actually function well.
Yeah.
And
I can attest to that. It was a horrific time.
I literally read the beginning of the email because I just saw it's going down the same rabbit hole. How can I am the worst of the worst and the lowest of the low, and if I don't retract it now, there will be legal action and what. Few minutes later, the second company comes in. Few minutes later, the third company comes in. Everybody complaining about the fact that I now said something about them on my private group.
Which is how ironic, because they've been defaming you, attacking your reputation in many ways, and now they suddenly go, no, you're doing that to them, which is completely what's that saying thing? The pot calling the kettle black or whatever. It's so ironic.
It is. It is quite. So I didn't even respond to it. I was just like, I actually did respond. I put another, I should have thought twice. I put another post on the group and say, this is funny that one of my girls will actually leak my message because now they all want to take legal action or whatever. And then soon after I got another email, I didn't say I was going to sue you. I was like, oh my word.
So they leaked that, the fact that you called them out on leaking. Then they leaked that as well?
Yes.
So you obviously had an informant.
I did.
In your midst.
And I'm like, it just proves my point.
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot be on both sides.
Yeah.
And I let that go. And then Heinz, you and I made the cover of the report first. As a team.
Yeah.
As a team. And I want to share this because it's a part of the story.
Yeah.
We were on the cover because we both wrote books.
Lewensgids vir mans en lewensgids vir vroue.
Yes, because we both have a heart to see people developed in the God-given character and identity, that having the best life, like
being healed and whole on the inside, and which is what these people that are attacking us, they actually need that. They need to get whole on the inside. They are hateful, resentful, insecure. They need Jesus. And we can see that. And it's and even if they listen to this, they're going to be offended, and I understand that. But it's the truth. We all need that.
We all need
it. The book that you wrote and I wrote is just a further extension of what your heart is anyway, and what you do through SA Image and have done for hundreds, if not thousands of people.
Absolutely. So we were supposed to have a book
launch.
A
book launch. Yeah.
In Wellington at the Breitenbach Center, and then without us even knowing it, there was this whole war on social media of we can't allow the Winklers to come here because they are too conservative.
Yeah, there's one activist guy who said that because of the previous controversial thing that happened, where I was accused of something in the report because I asked questions about how a child in our children's primary school, how that child was allowed as a biological boy to be a girl, how that process was just forced on the parents. There was no discussion, there was no process. I questioned with a bunch of other fathers, I questioned that process, and we dealt with the body corp, the student, what's it called?
Student body, the parents.
No, the school board. We approached the school board, and then that process was leaked to the newspaper, and the headline just said Winckler asks questions about transgender child, and then that thing was obviously posted for sensation on social media, and then people jumped on that with comments.
And you literally asked, how will this affect my grade 1-year-old that I know?
That was the question. The question, how will this affect my boy, and how is this? How have you helped us as parents to approach this thing in a healthy way? And That was the question. But then the assumption was I hate the transgender child, and by association you do, and we're just anti everything, which is not true.
I just want to say this on a public forum. We love all people.
Yes.
We love all people. We don't agree with everything that you might do. And that goes from anything to being a gossiper to apparently, like I recently preached, being a complainer. There's a lot of things that we don't agree with.
Sleeping together before getting married, we don't agree with that either because it's on the same list.
But I still love you.
Yes.
I still respect you.
Yeah.
I still think you're a child that was created in the image of God.
Amen.
It's like, I don't hate you because of your
decisions. But this is one of the big lies that the woke culture has brought into our world. If you don't agree, you hate.
Yeah, equals.
So agreement equals love, disagreement equals hate, which is insane because no one agrees on everything.
No.
So then everyone hates everyone, if that's logical. And it's not logical. You and I don't agree on every little small thing in our lives. That means we hate each other. And we don't. We love one another.
Yeah.
Because we love one another and because we're different, we lay our lives down and we love each other well. That's different. The move there was actually out of love and concern for that child because I believe what I believe and I stand on what I stand, and because I'm worried about my own child that's in that grade, I wanted to know from the school board how you're going to handle this. And because I felt at that time that they were supposed to be the gatekeepers for our children, and they dropped the ball. That's how I felt. And I realized I need to become a gatekeeper, otherwise this is going to keep happening. So that was part of that whole process. But because of that controversy and things that I've preached and said and whatever, this person from Wellington, this activist, got onto Facebook and he got his cronies to get upset alongside him. And they said that, we're not progressive. And the opposite of being progressive is conservative. In the Afrikaans word they used is ons is te behoudend. We are too which basically I had to go and look it up. You had to go and look it up. It means to be conservative, but it actually means to conserve that which are seen as older truths or things that values that people would stand upon. And he said because we are behoudend, we should not be speaking at the Breitenbach Centrum because it's a sign for progressivism or whatever the word might be, and that we learned about it, and then we heard that the people running the Breitenbach Centrum are luckily wise. They're like, Breitenbach was for freedom of speech, and this is a venue that anyone can use. So we're not going to cancel. We're going to go ahead. And then they kept challenging them, and so I, being a little, asperus, cocky, I decided to make T-shirts that say #behoudend because if behouden means that I believe the Bible is the Bible, that God is God, Abraham was a real person, that what the Bible calls sin is sin, then I am behoudend because I believe that. Yeah. So I made a T-shirt, as a reaction, and then that made the rapport.
Yes.
The fact that we were called te behoudend, too conservative, and criticized for that, and how I reacted, that made the rapport. Yeah.
Yes, so that was on the cover. And then I was also cocky, and I posted it and said, if I'm going to, because on that same day, there was a very famous, beautiful South African celebrity couple who announced their divorce.
Sure.
And I was just, if I'm going to make...
And we were so upset about that as well.
We were so upset about that. If I'm going to make the cover of a tabloid magazine on a Sunday, let me make it for the reason that I believe in the Word of God.
Tabloid paper.
Tabloid paper. If I'm, let it be for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? We teach in girls' school, a lady always not leaves beauty behind. She makes an impression for the right reasons. Like, let's do that. And I made a post about it. And when I posted it, the Holy Spirit already warned me and said,
something's coming.
But wait, there's more. But anyway, a week later. So this, obviously the tabloid comes out on a Sunday. A week later before church, I'm lying on my bed, drinking my coffee, opening my Bible. Heinz is already at church. You were already at church. And I open my Bible in Ezekiel 3. And it says, at the end of 7 days, which is now the end of 7 days, because it's 7 days since the magazine, the tabloid came out, the paper. At the end of 7 days, he got a word from the Lord that said to him, look, I have made you a watchman for the people. And if I'm going to tell you to tell them something and you do not do that, and they get punished for whatever they did wrong, their blood is on your hands.
Yeah.
But
if you don't warn them about the sin.
Yes. But if you know, if you warn them and they don't listen, you're okay.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I get this absolute reverent fear, and I just know that God has called us, and in that moment, obviously me, to be a watchman for our country. To like, if there is something we notice that is off, that is sinful, that is against the word of God, if we do not speak up and say, this is not on, those people's blood is going to be on our hands. And I would rather offend and hurt and say a hard message, even though it pains me, because I like people to like me. I like to be a people pleaser.
And I can agree to that, and myself as well. So it actually goes against, our grain,
our flesh,
to say the truth when we know it's going to upset. But I think it's important to tell people that we don't go out to hurt. We don't go out to offend.
Yes.
We know that this is a calling on our lives, and we say what we say.
Yeah.
The truth, but in love.
Yes.
And that's something people don't always get about us,
Yes.
is that this is really done in a loving way, but the truth is the truth. And it's not going to change for you, it's not going to change for me, it stands. And that's part of being conservative in the sense, in the good sense of the word. We conserve that which God said is the way to live.
Yes. So what actually happened that Saturday night before I opened the Bible on this Sunday is I spent some time with my best friend. We haven't seen each other forever, and we just went out to a spa and just spent time together. And she shared what was happening in her life, and I shared what was happening in my life. And she at one stage said to me, you have to just make sure that you didn't give the enemy a legal right for them to be able to attack you so much. And that Saturday evening, when I was alone in bed, when you were still preparing your service, or your sermon or whatever you did for the service, you were in your studio, I was lying in bed, and in my head I went through every individual company, and I said, Lord, if ever I said something or did something that is not right, that was wrong against you, against them, if I gossiped, if I did something wrong, I ask you to forgive me in the name of Jesus and to set me free and to release them. And I close that door now. I went through every company and I felt peace. So the Sunday morning I open my Bible, and this is what happens. Sunday after church, we get into the kitchen and I tell you what happened. And I said, I actually want to email all of them and say, I'm sorry for my part in all of this.
Yes.
I want to do this. Which I did on the Tuesday. I started writing it, and I think I eventually sent it out on the Wednesday. And then on the Thursday, I got the notification from Rapport that this is all the claims against me and they're going to do this article. And you know what? I had peace, because in the spirit, I have done my part. I have repented. I've said, I'm sorry. I said, forgive me. This is, on my side, it is done. None of them obviously replied on that. And the article came out with incredible claims. I didn't even want to read it. I had people...
Allegations.
Very incredible allegations. Which is, I mean...
It was half-truths at most, and then just a bunch of lies. And it only came from one, maybe two sources that are the one or two people that had a negative experience training with you. And and
I know exactly who they are, and I know exactly what happened as well. Yeah. So the one lady did go over. She was at my masterclass, and I was like, if I can get through a masterclass without working, that will be very impressive. Please tell me how.
Yeah, the allegation was that she had to do all the work along with the other people, and you did nothing.
I did nothing, and I also made them pay for
coffee,
food and drink.
Yeah.
Which publicly, I declare, has never happened.
Never happened.
In my life.
And I can attest to that.
If somebody, and you can ask any of my consultants, there are hundreds of them.
Yes.
If somebody perhaps on that day said something like that, it was a joke. It wasn't me, because I can't even have, somebody could have said, if they asked, you want coffee, you should 10 rand, it would have been a joke.
Yeah.
There is no way that
but that's just two of the allegations from this one person. And then the main allegation was that you run a cult.
Oh yes, but because of that, because I want the same person, this Durbanville consultant, which it's so funny when the Instagram profile literally says Durbanville-based image consultant. By the way, I emailed her as well. I emailed her beforehand, and I said, for whatever happened between you and me, I'm sorry for my part in this. So my side is clean. And what happened was she did go over to the other company, and I did WhatsApp her because in one day, because I don't follow them at all. I don't look at what they're doing. I have no sock. Whatever I know is what people will send me screenshots. Look at this. They are now celebrating this girl's birthday, but she's with us. Like, what's happening? Yeah. So in one day, there were like 3 people that was there that was also with us. So I am, in my charismatic personality, send voice notes, and I'm like, listen, I am on the warpath. So I just want to say, but I mean, I'm not fighting with you. I'm just saying this is my stance. You must choose. And then she chose. And I was honest. I was like, because I know things behind the scenes that I am not able to tell you, and I won't give you all the facts of what I know about what's happening. Yeah. I won't. But I did say I shouldn't have said that. I'm saying this publicly. I said it's like going from the light to the darkness. I did say that. Because that is what I felt in this moment. Like, how can you be so deceived? Yeah. Like, what is it? And I was mad. So you're in an emotional moment.
I'm in an emotional moment. And you said things you realize now you should not have said that way.
Yes. Yeah. And she emailed me immediately in response to my voice note. And she was very upset. And then I responded in the opposite spirit. And I said, I am so sorry that I've said all these things. We release you. We bless you. Whoops. Please go. Like, that was what happened. And then
obviously that was not good enough or helped her to get through that moment of offense. Yeah.
And obviously everything that I've heard previously was like the rumor that goes around is that I let all the people work at the masterclasses. I take all the money. They get rewarded, by the way, for their work at the masterclass. And all the things, that was just, I can hear that message also got to her, and that they've also like said that to her, and she's like, okay, I can see, I can agree. So anyway.
But what stood out for me is that this person that calls herself an investigative journalist spoke to one consultant who is trained with you, moved to another company, and ignored the hundreds, literally hundreds who have trained with you, who have gone on to do it as a job, who are flourishing, who are part of your sisterhood, the membership.
And not even sorority,
and the hundreds of international people that you've trained. They literally spoke.
Google reviews.
Yeah, and hundreds of Google reviews that are positive. Yeah. Completely ignored all of that. Yeah. So no investigation was done, except for down the line of what you already decided this article was going to be about, which is horrific journalism, horrific. Yeah. And not fair, and making a person out to be this monster with no regard for her health, for her family, her business, and her future is absolutely crazy. It's disdainful, in my opinion. And I'll say that out loud. But it's just sad that article had such a big impact, because it had an impact on your income. It had an impact on your reputation. And because, unfortunately, some people rather believe the rapport than they would believe the Bible, or they would believe the good report of a normal person. And it's unfortunate.
It showed more. I mean, I didn't even read the article. They sent me all the allegations beforehand. The Rapport did. I didn't even read them because I was like, what is it going to help? I'm not going to get in this mud fight. I literally said, I'm not going to say anything. I've got too much respect for myself and for the other people. I'm not going to say anything. And I didn't even read this. I wasn't even on social media in that time to read what people said. But people obviously told me that there were some nasty things being said. And it said so much more about the state of our nation than it said about me.
And how people are doing, on the inside. And at the same time, you had a lot of people standing up for you.
Absolutely.
But then they were just taken down.
They were. They literally took the positive comments down.
From the post.
One of my girls said it was there right now and it was gone.
Taken away.
So it looks that it's only negative.
And I mean, let's talk about a obvious vendetta, apparently from the media side.
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't get to the story. So these people ran to Rapport to take me down.
Yes.
They weren't approached by Rapport, because why would Rapport know anything about it?
But they did make it look like that they were.
And they would say that if they were confronted.
But it didn't happen that way. Yeah.
They went to them and said, okay, so they think they're cool to be on the tabloid for believing the Bible. Let me tell you a few things about her. And that's how the story started. And I'm not stupid. I am actually really an investigative journalist.
You have the degree.
And I actually love investigation. So but anyway, I forgave them, and I was very strong when it happened in the spirit, because I felt that I have overcome it in the spirit. And people who aren't saved won't understand what I'm saying. They will think I'm absolutely crazy. But that is our flesh. Our fight is not against flesh and blood. It's against the principalities in the dark and the darkness. So I felt that I conquered it, but still, after a few weeks, I could feel again the trauma in my body. I could feel like my body, although my spirit is in victory, my body was suffering.
Took shots, yeah.
Took a lot of shots. So I had to all the advance. What is it? That I had from the previous session, how I improved in the healing,
improvement, yeah.
It reset. It was really back at square one, where I was just like,
I'm so sorry, babe.
Oh my
that
word!
Sucks.
It is. It's like deflating your whatever, because I worked so hard to get to a good place.
Yeah.
And then for this to happen. But you know what? But God.
Yeah, amen.
Because I knew 2024 was the year of war. God has prepared me, and there were so many things happening in that year.
And what a war it was. My goodness.
It was. It was a year full of betrayal. It was a year full of lies, of gossiping, of storytelling, of just like, it was. But anyway. So I remember the last day of 2024, you confronted me over the course of the holidays a few times and said, you're not yourself. I'm worried about you. I'm worried that you're going to get depressed. I'm worried that you're not, I mean, it's very evident if I'm not myself. Everybody knows it.
I was really concerned because I know you and I know the signs, and, just in general, I know that if these things are not there, then there's something happening. And I could see you in your mind. I mean, day one, day two, after the article came out, you were strong. You were like, I've got this.
Yeah.
And then somewhere it hit you. And I could see you going down that path of your thinking, going into a very negative place. And I'm like, you need to recognize this.
Yes.
And you need, and I want to see you get out of it. And I realized, as your husband, there's so much I can do, but there's something that you need to figure out on your own. And all I could think of is obviously praying for you, but then also encouraging you to get help. Because we all reach points where we need help. We need someone on the outside to just come and give us some perspective, some proper inner healing guidance. And you went for that, thank God. Yeah.
I did on the last day of the year, which is awesome, because it's like I'm ending off this year. And somebody prayed for me and had prophetic words, and it was so encouraging, and I felt a shift again in
a
the
reset.
Spirit. I felt a reset, and then come 1st January, I was a different person. I really felt, because what I said to you,
and I can attest to that.
What the enemy tried to do was he wanted to steal my voice, because I didn't have confidence. It stole my confidence to make a video, to say what I'm thinking, to share my heart.
You were literally quiet.
I was literally quiet. I was
even in the house.
Yeah,
even in the house, you were quiet,
yes.
and that's what showed me. Because normally you're not very quiet, but
yes. And I realized it. And why this is so imperative is because of the fact that during my last year of journey of not doing makeovers anymore, not doing one-on-one consultations anymore, only doing masterclasses, really honing in my consultation time with other people to be more hands-on in my business. God has given me a new platform where I realized I'm spending so much more time sitting with people, doing inner healing, just getting to the lies. And the whole time God is telling me there's something new, there's a shift coming. And I have been saying that to you for months, that there's a shift coming in my business, there's a shift coming in my business. And I couldn't realize how it's going to be and how it's going to look. And what is so awesome is I actually journeyed a while with Rihanna now. I mean, everybody loves Rihanna. She's incredible. And she was a speaker at our women's conference last year. And we became friends. And every 2 weeks we would sit on a Zoom and we would just chat through things. And we would both get breakthrough in areas. And like, I'm struggling with this. Let's ask the Holy Spirit, what is the lie? What are we struggling with? And at one stage she said to me, you have to teach me how you do this because the need is so big. We must help people because she realized that even with her profile and her life and her marriage, that there are lies that she believes. And I realized that there are lies that I still believe. And in that, I'm like, I know. She says, Aletté, because I'm sitting with you and you're not charging me money. We're taking time, but I mean, you're not making anything from it. And I'm like, I'm seeing you getting free and I'm seeing myself getting free in this process.
Which is amazing, but there's still, life to live and a bottom line and, bills that need to be paid.
Absolutely. So in what she said, a lot of seed has been sown in my heart for God. Once again, it's like the masterclass thing, the supergroup thing, like there's seed being sown by questions that people ask. And then, ironically enough, I realized today that I have a consultant whose name is also Rihanna. So Rihanna made this happen, made the radical happen. Because Rihanna woke up and she said to me, I had a dream about you and you were doing retreats. And when she said retreats,
come on,
I had it. I'm like, I'm going to do retreats where we can have many women at once and we get everybody healed and whole as much as we can with the Holy Spirit at one time, and then we can send them out and they have the tools then to be able to go help other people. And that is what I want to say is that was my mission for 2025. And then I felt my voice was stolen. And I'm like, how can I teach people how to forgive other people if I'm struggling to forgive these people?
Yeah.
Because I had to constantly do it.
Which was your test?
I would wake up the whole holiday. I would wake up with dreams and arguments like, you said this, this, and this, but let me tell you this, and this. And I'm like, this is not from God. This is not from God.
But you also needed to vent.
I did.
And I mean, many times you would come to me and say, you know what?
Yeah.
And then you would give the whole argument. And I'm like, yes, you're completely right. But it has to be different from, from a Christian perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. So in January, I really felt like there's a shift. And that day when I made the video for Radical, I was looking at that video afterwards and I thought, this can only be God. Because if you know where I was 3 weeks before, I wouldn't have been able to, with so much conviction and excitement, share the fact that we are going to get the people radically healed. So that
was supernatural.
It was supernatural.
I witnessed it with my own eyes, the shift from when you were once again, you needed to be willing in your place of pain. To humble yourself and say, I need help. And then God could work.
Yes.
And he did a miraculous, quick thing. And we've seen that in our lives many times. And the encouragement to others would be, don't wait, don't wallow in pain or uncertainty or, ask for help, get help. There's a better way to do things.
So, but what I also saw, it was literally that shift in the new year. Like God said 2024 was the year of war. And then and obviously over the December holiday after the article came out, there were students asking questions and there were people saying, I want my money back and this, they've claimed this and they've claimed this. But when the new year broke, we had enrollments for Africa. Like people, God just blessed us. And I'm like, if in the midst of if I have to experience the goodness of God like this again, and I have to go through that again, I'll probably go through it again. If I know this is going to be the outcome. The outcome is the reward, or the reward is you stay silent in this moment when they attack you, when people say the ugliest, rudest things about you. My children need to hear it. They need to face it. They have to be prepared that if somebody said something, your mom is a thief at school or whatever. I mean, they have to. I have to tell them this because they have to know what's going on and be what is in public. I don't know.
Have real conversation with our children.
If I have to go through that again. And in that way, God says, you be quiet. Oh, my word, every single time I opened the Bible during that season, every single time, it was a word of, I will sort them out. You just stand. I've got your back.
Yes.
the
was
wicked will
powerful.
fall. It was like just like every time I would get anxious, I will open the Bible and then I would experience God. And I'm like, thank you. I've got peace. I'm going to do this. And this is where we are today. It's the first time I've spoken out about it. I believe it's time. I believe there's a season where everything has to come to the light.
Absolutely.
And this is the opportunity to say what really happened. This is in elk geval my perception and my perspective. If they experience something else, obviously everybody has their own experience. This is what I experienced, and this is what, according to me, happened in my life in the past year. But God is faithful. Our manuals has been redone, every single one of them. They are out of this world.
They
Amazing.
really look next level.
They are next. They don't even just look next level. They are next level.
Yeah.
We have 9 syllabuses with 100, 200 page manuals that is filled with ridiculous information. I promise you, I don't think there's a company in the world who has manuals like us.
Come on.
Honest, like,
it's epic.
It is up to date. It is current. It has the newest technology, the newest business, AI, Canva, everything. It's like just next level.
There's really nothing like it. And I mean, you have been an image consulting disruptor from the start.
Yes.
It's part of the reason why you get attacked.
Yes.
You've brought out the Pocket Stylist app, which is a complete new way of doing it. And now this. So yeah, super excited about it with you, baby. And well done.
It is. I want people to know that all of my businesses have that. And if you don't know this by now about me, and if you still after this podcast don't know this about me, then I'm not going to do anything to convince you. But my heart for every single person is to become who they were created to be.
Come on.
To be whole, to be healed, to step out of agreement with lies and into agreement with the truth of who God says you are.
Yeah.
And if I can start doing that in a 7-year-old's life and girls' school, that's what I'm going to do. I want to get them while they're young, so that when they get to 20, 21, 25, 29, when they are confronted with healing and with getting whole and being the best version of themselves, that they won't twist it around and say you're a cult.
Yeah.
They'll see, I understand where you're coming from.
Let's rather create healthy young people than fix broken old people.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we have available. We have available for you to send your child at a young age to be introduced to God-given identity, to love her body at a young age, to be a leader, have confidence, stand up to bullies, be the best version of herself.
So just to clarify, this is now another business.
Yes.
Is Girls School.
Yes.
That's a confidence school for young girls.
Yes.
And it's on different levels, different ages, and it's all over the country. There's franchises available.
And online, it's available. I want to see your daughter thrive.
Yeah.
And then once we have that running, we want to see boys thrive, because there's a separate attack on boys and on girls. Both are attacked.
Yeah.
Both are under attack.
Absolutely.
And
healthy masculinity and healthy femininity is being attacked in this crazy world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we want to jump in from the start. So it's it's for your benefit.
Baby, you're amazing.
Thank you,
I have so much respect for you. Well done.
Thank you.
And thank you for who you are. And I trust that you will go just from strength to strength and glory to glory in what God has called you to do.
Thank you.
And I just speak a blessing on every company, every employee, every student,
Amen.
and every teacher. And we trust for big things to go ahead. Thank you for being on the show today, and may God bless you.
Thank you. It was an honor.